Hello and welcome. We have a guest today. I'm super excited. Freya Burpers was here before the stream and was like, I'm not here anymore. But I'm sure there'll be cats in a minute. They know the way this goes. They are.
Here we go. I'm just clicking on stuff.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, I don't know how I got turned on to Wave. People kept complaining about StreamYard and Streamlabs and all the other stuff. So I was like, well, let's try this company that nobody uses really and to just try it out. And I've been quite pleased.
I'm all about it. I'm definitely trying to divorce from all the technology that I'm stuck to. So
hey, Hans, it's good to see you.
He's getting it in early. He's getting it in early.
Like, get streaming. I gotta make my appearance. Well, the get's good. Hey, Cartwright, my technology is working. Yes, it is.
Yay! How's it going, Gilroy?
Well, the cats are not here, so the main event for this afternoon, morning. Wow, I don't even know what time of day it is. Bianca from the Closet Historian was buying sequins from this place, Cartwright's, and I had this dream for a yellow polka dot bikini because I've got this blue, I got scrapped somewhere, this blue and polka dots, but it's white and not yellow. So I was like, oh, I need sequins, and Joann Fabrics didn't have what I wanted. So I was like, I'm just going to get one. And then when I paid enough for the free shipping, I was like, yeah. That was not my intention.
I'm an Amazon addict, so there's no judgment here whatsoever. I get so much stuff from Amazon, it's embarrassing.
Fair. Oh, these giant red ones. I got a lot of these because I thought about one of those like 1970s knitted top dressy things covered in sequins. So I did get like a shit ton, a metric shit ton of red sequins.
Well, I'm not going to try to give you too many flashy ideas, but I follow someone on YouTube, and she makes dragon scales with sequins, like mittens and gloves. They're epic.
I do have a pair of knitted dragon scale gauntlets that I made. They're in the other room.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh,
I should have brought them. I didn't wear them all this year. And we've got all these green. These look like dragons, and I got the matching big ones.
Oh, those are awesome. I just ventured into green last year.
Yeah, I think I need something like Swamp Creature-esque.
I loved Swamp Thing. I loved that show.
Oh, and these ones, they were so sweet. So these are little red flowery ones. They were like, oh, we don't have enough for the 1,000 pieces that you had in your order, so we are going to take off the price, like not charge you for them, but then ship you what we had. I was like, yes, please.
Oh wow.
Oh, here's the ones for I hope I bought enough of these.
You never know. I either order over or under order, but you never know.
I know, and they were all in the discount section, so I was like, I should order extra, but the bikini's not that big and there's not that many polka dots, so I think I'll make it work. Or I'll just add more other trim. Oh, Kilroy shilling for me. This is your reminder that if you don't hit that thumbs up button, your fillings will fall out and your mom will slip on a banana peel. Oh my God. This is not Mr. Ballin's stream. Where he's got the weird...
I like that.
Oh, thanks for the shilling. Yes. Oh gosh, banana peels.
There's so many options with Sequins. Like you have a ton of options. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was good because I cut out. Let's see here. Is it behind me? No. So I've got the where is this? I've done this pattern a gajillion times. The Mood Cordia bikini bottoms. And I cut them out so I can sew the sequins. And then where's my phone? Because I was kind of inspired by that 60 song, the itty bitty yellow polka dot bikini.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I had a different pattern picked out for the top, but I didn't have enough of the fabric. So I went and let's see here. Oh, hold on. Okay. Yes, I know. You're late. Hey, Liz.
Hey, how's it going, Liz? Hey.
Okay, I am here. There's just it's a black.
I looked up and I was like, is that technical difficulties or a cat?
It's a cat. Oh, you're too impatient, Kilroy, for sequins. It's not that bad. It is work, but it's not the worst thing ever.
As someone who's super ADD, it's a project that you could put down and come back to 1,000 times.
Yes. It absolutely is. Where's the okay, so
yeah, Liz, I'm here. I finally figured out the technology. I had to step out of the StreamYard's box.
And does it show? I'm gonna the top is got like, oh, there we go. And I'm gonna do this top.
That's awesome.
So that'll be cute because I've got enough fabric for that. I just need to figure out how to cut the remnants. Come on, Loki. I know you're late to the party.
I grew up watching like the old cheesy Elvis movies and Gidget. So yep. I love that style. I love that style.
Okay. Now we're white bombed. We were black bombed earlier.
Well, you can't be left out.
No, we're purple bombed, green bombed, orange bombed. We've got okay. Come to my lap so people can see your trick. Come over here.
So I got my son got me completely sick. I lost my voice 2 days ago, so I sound awful, and I lost my other glasses, so I'm wearing like my blackout glasses.
Oh man!
But there's definitely something go around. Like I work in an office indoor-outdoor settings, so we constantly are passing illnesses to each other.
Absolutely. And the viral infections have been real since September when school started. And I kind of surmised this 2 years ago that when things were starting to get back to normal-ish again, that we were going to have a huge rebound in viral infections.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we are.
Also, because people paid so much attention to one illness, they forgot that like bronchitis, pneumonia, all these other things exist.
Stay safe, Liz. Yeah, all the things.
I'm a catcher's mitt. Because of my lung issues, like I wouldn't say that I was like Howie Mandel before COVID, but I'm totally Howie Mandel after COVID.
Fair. Well, in my job, we're masks are still required with the nature of my work by the state and my landlord at my office, unless I'm doing telemed stuff. So I'm just like, okay, I don't see people and mask up, kids.
I am the mask mandate where I am. Well, it's political because where I live in a I know it's Southern California and it's weirdly hippie around here, but I live in a really conservative area.
Yeah.
So it's like a sign of pride to not wear my son calls it a face diaper.
Oh, yes. I've heard that them described as that.
I'm just glad that it's socially acceptable. I would have been wearing a mask pre-COVID because I get sick all the time.
Right. Yeah, and it's not like in Asia where tuberculosis and Hep B is endemic, folks just wear masks in other places anyway. So it seems, I don't know. And I think in healthcare settings, like they're sick people, you probably should have been covering it up anyway.
And as someone who's traveled around this side of the globe, like if you go to Mexico City pre-COVID, people were wearing masks because they still burn their trash.
Right.
So on certain days, people are like, oh no, it's Tuesday. Everyone's burning their trash. I'm going to wear a mask today. You know,
Well, that's, yep. Or during fire season here, folks are like, we've run out of N95s because of the, like, they're more worried about fire than they are about sickness. I'm like, you guys are funny.
it's that weird panic here too. So I don't care. And people look at me funny. I don't care.
Right. Yeah.
During COVID, actually, was the first time that I wasn't sick the entire year.
Exactly.
Absolutely, Gilroy. Absolutely.
I still wear an N95 for the time indoors. I used to get sick all the time, and now I get sick far less. Yep, absolutely. There's nothing wrong, and everybody's got to make their own decision for their own health care, and whatever side of the aisle that happens to be.
I think the problem is too, though, is we've made everything so freaking political that it's like, just wear a mask, dude.
Right.
It's a mask. Like, I don't know. I try to bring certain arguments down to their most simplistic argument, like I would explain to a child.
Yeah.
Like, if you wear this, you won't get sick. And if someone else is sick around you, it brings the probability of you getting sick down.
Yep. 100%.
Yesterday at my job, I witnessed people that are in charge of other adults not wearing masks. And I was like, the shop I work at's on a hill. So when I'm sitting on the tractor, I can look down and see like half of the property. When they saw me wearing a mask, people literally put their masks on. So I jokingly say that I am the mask mandate.
It's too funny.
And I'm not even like weirdo, like weirdly political about it. It's just I have a lower immune system.
Right, you're making the choice that makes sense for you, and that should always have been the right choice. And it's funny, the folks who are super like everybody has to wear a mask, but against like abortion rights. Like if you're going to have a choice for one, then you kind of have to have a choice for the other. Like,
oh, I was yelling at my computer when people were like, my body, my choice. I was like, wait a minute, hillbilly, wait a minute.
Right. Like we can't be vax mandates and mask mandates. And not like you're either for all of it for all things or none of it for none of things.
Absolutely.
And it's I know it's decisive, but it's my channel, so I'm sorry if you don't like it.
No, I went off. There's many times where I'm yelling at my computer and I'm like, they still make you? I look at people like Betamax, like, are you kidding me? Like, you're cool to be on the shelf, but you're not readily available.
Right.
And again, my thing is, one of the reasons I'm so middle of the road is because I have such West Coast politics. It wasn't until I traveled did I realize not everyone lives like that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It's just.
And when I got online, I started offending a lot of people because I would say things and I'm like, oh, you don't wash your hands? I'm not going to ever shake hands with you. Ever.
Oh, that's funny. When my undergrad I worked in a chemistry lab, and I had friends who did research with mercury and dioxins and all sorts of fun stuff. And the joke in the chemistry lab was like, you washed your hands before you went to the toilet, but not necessarily afterwards.
Ouch.
Yeah. Oh, it's never been political for me. It's just simple 4th grade cause and effect. Wear a mask, get sick less. Not hard to figure out. Exactly. Yep.
Where I live, people wear like anti-social distancing t-shirts, or they'll wear like God is my shield, or it's so weird. It's so weird. It's really made me think, like, where do I live? Because if I go over the hill into Hollywood, everyone's wearing masks. Everyone, like it's a different world.
Yeah.
But nowadays, people just, like Kilroy said, like it's just basic common sense. I feel like there's a digression in society. Am I wrong, or am I just being judgmental? Like we have digressed, taken one giant step backwards in many ways.
Yeah, I think so, because it kind of goes. And is it our generation, or is it the younger kids that are just like uber weirdos of like they can't take a joke, nothing's funny. Dave Chappelle would be canceled. I hope they don't ruin the new or the up and coming History of the World Part 2. Like, if it's all,
I love. When I was a kid, I loved the first one.
I know.
I loved the first one. I don't
100%.
I like masks because the smell. Thank you. I like it. I don't know. It's just maybe it answered an insecurity that I had. I just like wearing a mask. I don't know what it is. It's the Lone Ranger with my hat. I don't know. But I think the first thing I will say, because I go off about the younger generation, but I always say like each generation we roll off of each other. These kids didn't just show up, so they learned from us.
Yeah.
And like somewhere along the line, people can no longer take a joke. And you know what? There is that fine line. There is that fine line. I'm a little bit more thick-skinned because I'm from a different era.
Yep.
I recently was watching. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, Liz says she wears masks most of the time because she has lung issues and doesn't want to catch COVID again. Fair, absolutely. There's everybody. We're in this country. We have the right to do whatever we want, and it's okay. But I was getting ready to fly to New York. I almost wanted to get one of the industrial N95 particulate filters with the removable cartridges, deck it out, and just go all like cyberpunk. Like, how uncomfortable can I make people feel wearing a mask?
Yeah. My neighbor, someone I've known my entire life, someone I grew up with, he went viral he's a rock climber. Like he goes in caves.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He went viral for wearing a full oxygen mask in our local Safeway. He was all over Twitter. I called him. I was like, do you have a Twitter? He's like, no. I was like, dude, you are famous on Twitter. And he's from my little small town. It was funny. Oh.
Let's see here. Killer says they don't think it's digression. I think it's stupid people and extremists that have always been around that are just able to be a lot louder than before. Possibly. I grew up with different strokes for different folks. Yep, absolutely, Liz.
And that's another thing. Like in the 90s, it was come as you are, no matter who you are. And that kind of changed. And it makes me feel old because I'm one of those people, I can hang out with anyone as long as you're not an a-hole to people.
Yep. And it's also kind of why I want folks to like this whole spoutable, all these other things. I want to hear the people who are like, I disagree with. So I know what the other side is saying. If we're all cancel culture, you offend us, we don't want to hear you, then we don't know what the other side is seeing, regardless of what your version of the other side is. Like,
hey, Skid.
I want to know what it's going on. Hey,
absolutely.
welcome.
And that's another thing. Like with all these new age extremists, I didn't know that the Proud Boys were so hardcore in Oregon until a friend of mine was like, dude, what are you talking about? My neighbor's one and blah, blah, blah. I was like, what? What planet do I live on?
Yeah. Skits, if you want to jump into Alice will share you the link because I can't slide into your DMs on Twitter.
Let me get my to Twitter. I just have to take my glasses off for this one.
Yeah, the whole Proud Boys thing, like, nobody pays attention to me on the YouTube, so I can't get canceled yet. But here, I'll do this chat first. Let's see here. Killer Ray says, that's how I am. Enough going on in my life. I don't have enough energy to try to run somebody else's life. Yep, absolutely. My circus, my monkeys. Your circus, your monkeys. The whole kind of the FBI setup of the not some of the Proud Boys and Ray Epps from January 6th. Like, people have got all the shenanigans. And why did Nancy Pelosi have her daughter making her documentary during the whole thing? Like, if she was really scared, like, do you really want your family at the Capitol that day? I don't know. I have questions and no good answers.
Do you know what's really funny? I'm the same way. Like, I don't like how the school systems operate, so my son's homeschooled.
Yep.
Like, there's been some hardcore stuff that I don't even think I could mention because of FICA, HIPAA, and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's she's in Rochester now as a journalist, Megan Fox, who sometimes shows up at school board meetings, has had a case against a school board in Oklahoma. I forget where it is, but there is legal proceedings going on because they're supposed to be open and everybody should have their 90 seconds to talk. And the guy was like, "We don't like your opinion, so you're not allowed to talk." And she's like, yeah, no, that's not the way this works.
Wow. See, you got to wear a scary vest, because I walked into a school board meeting wearing my vest and they let me go first.
Like, get this creep out of here.
Yeah, I scared I love, because my voice doesn't match how tough they think I am. So I walk up and I'm like, "Hi, you guys have ticked me off, and I'm going to tell you why you've ticked me off." Oh, good times.
Oh, yeah. Proud Boys was scary. Wrote a few poems on it. I'm cool with different points of view. If you don't force it on me, absolutely. I'm not fine with the fight me culture. Fear. I don't want to change anybody. I just like to know what the opposition is doing, because if I don't know, then I don't know.
And that's another thing. I think it's because I'm like a hapless stoner. I don't get the fight me crowd. Like, don't get me wrong. I will defend myself. You can't just run up on me, but I don't go walking around ever looking for a problem, ever.
No, I want to stay under the radar.
I'm in my own little world wishing for peace. Oh, man. You know what? And it's not even like, oh, I feel old. It's just, I notice a change. People are a little bit more aggressive with each other.
Homeschooled through high school. The local high school was basically Baghdad circa 2003. Oh, man.
That's what's like our school system here is turning into that, and they're touting my city as the third safest city in LA County, and I'm like, if we're the third safest, I'm scared.
Right.
Because on all the Facebook, I have a ring. If you buy a ring, you basically sign a contract saying that if they see anything crazy, they can broadcast it to everyone who has a ring. And so I see everything that goes on in my neighborhood. The ring is better than the news.
I don't, that untethered access to data and what they do, I don't know. I'm scared. My house is so old, I don't think the electrics would like let me, and I don't want to be, I like some anonymity, and here I am like touting my face on the internet, but and kvetching, but okay.
Oh, no worries,
kids. No worries.
I sent you the link anyways.
Have fun with your kiddo.
I'm just proud I figured out the technology.
Right. Oh, yeah. So stay safe at work, Liz. Tonight, unarmed security. So my job is literally to avoid the fight me mentality. Yes, absolutely. Pacify and de-escalate, please.
I don't know. Like, do you know what's so funny? Here in where I live, all security guards have firearms. Even the ones that are in high schools, they all have firearms.
That part doesn't scare me so much as that when they have them and are like too douchey or afraid to use them when they need to.
I'm not trying to call out my pot shop, but I love the owner, but the security company that he hired, they're a bunch of gangsters with guns. You know what? I get this all the time. People think I'm a rough bunch. I walk in, I can read gang tattoos. I'm from LA. I can read tattoos. They're a rough bunch, but they have their certifications or they wouldn't be sitting there.
Right.
You know?
Right? Isn't there a moratorium on firearms up in Portland?
It's bad here. You know, I say that, but I don't notice anything because, like, where I live is
Yep.
peaceful. And then I read the paper and I'm like, man, people need to get a sewing habit because I'm at home minding my own business while these people are just, it's scary. It's scary.
Concur. Yeah.
Also, I have a sewing question for you.
I might have a sewing answer.
So, let's say I stripped down an old sewing table because I don't want my old Singer rod iron pedal to go to waste.
Yeah.
What would I need? Because I'm gonna the wood is whoever, if anyone collects antiques, I'm gonna videotape myself doing it, but don't watch because I'm gonna rip all the wood off. But what do I need? Just the metal and the base to hold the sewing machine? Because it looks like the wood is holding the sewing machine because this is an older,
right.
This is from
Yeah, no, I understand.
1906.
So you've got a treadle machine. Yeah, because the legs are just there or the wrought iron legs are usually just there for show, unless there's something in the mechanics of where the pulley goes through. But it's been a while. My grandma's like that disintegrated, and well, that's a long sad story of my grandma's treadle sewing machine.
Because usually I just put a motor on the old ones, but this one is so old it doesn't have the motor mount.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna return it to what it's meant to be.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful machine. So I went to the shop yesterday and I dragged it out of storage. And so I now have this giant wrought iron rotting piece of wood in the back of my truck. And it could sit there. The truck, I could drive around with that thing and forget because the truck is so huge.
Right.
But I'm going to restore it. I'm going to bring it back to life.
Oh, that's going to be a beauty.
And it's a 1906. And the sewing machine is beautiful and it shines, But, like, I don't need the cabinets on the side. I don't need all the shelving. I just need the wrought iron and the base, right?
I think so. Yeah, the treadle and all the wrought iron pieces. And I think that's it. And in the machine, obviously, but I thought that was a given.
I don't know if it was like the first live stream that the first time I ever tuned in, you were talking about how when you buy a sewing machine with a table, you're buying a piece of furniture. And so every time I think of that now, I'm like, I'm bringing a new piece of furniture in my house, which I don't have any room for already. Like I have a hoarding problem. Because this last white was like, I don't know where to put it.
Well, I saw that and fell in love, and I was like, I know somebody who will drive me down if you want to unload it. I don't have room for a piece of furniture, but I kind of want that sewing machine.
Give me a month or two. I'm this close to having
enjoy your time together. I don't want to cut it short.
I am thinking about doing a thrifting tour, like going somewhere. But I was thinking about going towards the desert, but I want to go somewhere I can take my son.
Yeah.
And Vegas isn't for minors. It's not.
No, not unless you're going to eat and see shows.
Because I'm such a smoker and gambler, it's just not to me. In my head, is not for children.
No, because you can still smoke in the airport and smoke, and if you have to be 18 to be on the casino floor anyway, so yeah, it's not really. And if he's sound sensitive or overstimulated, that just kind of sounds like a nightmare for neurodivergent folks,
exactly,
unless you're prepped for it.
And I was thinking about taking him to the circus, but as a Vegas aficionado, that's the scary side of the strip.
Right.
So you walk out and there's people I'm not giving away any secrets. That's the seedy side of the strip. And Kilroy, you have no idea how many times I've thought about living in a warehouse like MacGyver. I think it's season 7 of MacGyver. He lives in a warehouse, but I wish I could live in Venice like he did in a warehouse. That warehouse would be like $20 million now.
Great.
I wish. I promised my predecessor and my boss that I wouldn't abuse the shop that I work in because I have endless space.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about getting my own warehouse.
I know
like,
somebody. Oh, go ahead.
no, I was just about to go off about how I have a storage unit and I'm so ridiculous. I'm this close to getting a second one. But it's like buying it's like it's to be 100% honest, it's like $500 a month. And that's a ton of another investment.
That's a lot of money. Yeah.
At the end of the year, that adds up,
Right. You can like somehow finagle it as a business expense of like, this is my offsite storage or whatever. But no tax, no legal, no medical, no election fornication. What did I forget? No law. We no advice here. This is satire, comedy, and recklessness.
Oh, you just reminded me of some guy. I watched the most random news stories, and some guy got arrested. He was some local. It was either in Montana, Florida, California, Seattle, or Canada, because those are the channels I watch.
Okay.
But he was an elected official, and like they were like, "Oh, we suspect you of fraud," so they raided his house, and they found a bunch of ballots from the 2020 election that he held, and never.
Oh.
And this idiot had him at his house. It was national news. It was.
Well, so Mark Robert, who lives in your neck of the woods, he's used to write for the National Lampoon, started MTV Magazine, knows everybody who's everybody, and has a story to tell about them. I guess in San Bernardino Valley, according to him, the Armenian mafia just like has ballots. So like when the time comes, somebody's like, well, how many ballots do you need? They're just they just keep them at these like abandoned houses, and yeah, chicanery happens.
I wouldn't be surprised. LA is so corrupt. It's not. When I was 19, I worked at a tattoo shop on Hollywood Boulevard. This man was from Iran. He taught me a lot of things about business and life. And not necessarily in the good way.
Right. Well, you don't know what's good unless you can have the odd to counterpoint it.
But he used to always tell me, like, life is not what you think it is. He owned 4 shops on Hollywood Boulevard, and he still does to this very day. He owned 4 tattoo shops. One side of the street, he was paying rent to the Russian mafia. And on the other side of the street, he was paying it to the Church of Scientology. And I guarantee you the Russian mafia was probably paying rent to the Church of Scientology.
Right. He probably had to pay less to the Russian mob, but he had to just worry about his fingers more.
I thought it was just stuff in the movies until I lived in LA, and I was like, oh, this is real. I was like, oh, these people, it's not just in a John Travolta movie, this is real.
Yeah, things are weird. Well, thinking of reporters, did you hear about I'm going to forget the news network, but there was a news press conference in West Palestine for the train crash. Texas? And some guy was at the back doing his reporting, like, to the info webs. And the head of the National Guard in Ohio comes over and was, like, harassing him. And then he got the cops in, and the reporter got arrested.
What a meathead.
And it took days for them to drop the charges. He's like, I'm doing my job. I have a right to be here. I'm part of the press. And
see, that's what scares me about the breakdown of society. Like, we used to have protections. Like, okay, you're the press. You can be as annoying as you want. You're the press. Yep. That scares me. That's like borderline dictatorship. Like, oh, you ticked me off. You hurt my feelings. Right. You go to jail.
Well, and back in the day, journalists actually like used to be unbiased reporters rather than like towing whatever the corporate line is that they're supposed to be saying, because everything's
The
owned by the same like 5 companies by and large.
Oh, it's so sad. When I was a kid, I discovered that with radio. I was really into radio, and then Clear Channel owned everything. I discovered, like, I was like, you guys are all owned by the same company, you know? That's sad. That's really that makes me weep because have you ever heard of a politician named Marion Barry back in the day? He got caught smoking crack with 2 hookers in a
Yep.
Okay. So what he's famous for that, okay? But what a lot of people don't know is that he upheld the Constitution more than anyone that I have ever known in my life. He was the mayor of DC in the 80s and the 90s. He did, if you were the KKK, you could go up there and protest, and you were protected by black cops.
Yep.
But because in America, you have the right to be an idiot.
Yes.
And so I respected Marion Barry because he would say, hey, man, you can come to DC. We'll protect you. Be an idiot. You know, it didn't matter what your stance was. And that's people aren't like that anymore. He's caught in a situation.
You know, I had watched the video, the footage of it. Who had it on a live stream 2 weeks ago? The station is potentially criminal on his Thursday night. He showed the footage from the event. He was just standing at the back doing his reporting.
Yikes.
With the filming it. They're the ones who are harassing him. Just watch the footage. I don't need to.
And that's what it scares me when people like go off about the Constitution. Like, wait a minute, the Constitution actually protects us to be as crazy as we want, as long as we're not hurting people, and it protects us from the government. It protects us from.
Yep. Absolutely. And it's there for like people to be dumb like Daryl Brooks and people to say horrible, nasty things that we just don't like. We need it more to protect the people that we don't like rather than to reinforce the things that we do like.
Daryl Brooks is the spokesperson of why you need a lawyer.
At least he didn't claim he was a Moorish sovereign citizen. He was just subset.
Oh, yikes. Did you say Moorish sovereign citizen?
Yes.
Does that mean he claims that because he was here before, the laws don't apply to him?
No, the Moors are the Black Spanish.
Oh yeah, I know. No, I know all about.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Technically,
I was like, I don't know if
I'm wearing my Moor patch right now. No, when you said that, I was like, is there a law I could claim to be an idiot?
No, there's not. They just pretend that they're like, you have no rights because not only are we Sob-Sit, but we're Moorish also.
I'm a Moor by race. I don't believe in that sensationalistic crap. If I wasn't like, I'm so at odds with history sometimes. I'm like, if I wasn't there, I'm not going to argue about it.
Right.
Because at this point, you can claim anything. Like people claim I'm a Moor because my father has African ancestry and my mother is a Spaniard, a real one, you know. That's why I got to get away from most activism. Absolutely.
Yep. So much of it now is I'm 100% right, and if you disagree with me in any way, you should be shot. Yep. No.
I got canceled for that very reason. I got shunned and canceled because I didn't agree with a certain sect of people. I just spoke my old man opinion.
Right.
It's weird. It's so weird. But I also feel like these spaces are good for disenfranchised people who don't have a voice. But then again, don't turn around and become the very person you're running away from.
Absolutely. It's the problem I have with the leading with having to protect all the privileged classes and everybody leading with their privileges first. Like, are you a good person? That's more important than this is how I'm special.
Yeah. And as somebody who grew up around and works with special needs people, those are the categories we should be like highlighting and going out of our way to help people, you know?
Right. Yeah. What does Dylan Mulvaney need special privileges to tropes around at the Grammys for? And I don't know. So that human irritates me.
That's my thing. Like with Andrew Tate, like I recently followed him on Twitter because I'm like, I told myself like I'm hate watching this guy. Like I had to talk. I was like, William, what are you doing? Is he still in jail? I'm so confused.
No, he's out of jail, and the ladies are texting amongst themselves like this was a whole setup. I don't think he did anything wrong, and it sounds like one of the cam girls' boyfriends was pissed at him. So he's the one who called. Like, I think he's in. I don't think he actually did anything.
And he's like tweeting like he's from jail, and I'm like, why would they give you, even in Romania, I doubt you get a cell phone in prison.
No, I think you have to be more worried about your fingers in prison in Romania.
Yeah. I'm sure it's not like,
When fighting monsters, take care that you don't become a monster yourself. Absolutely. Don't lose the forest for the trees and be like, oh, we're in it's so much. I'm getting heated hot behind the collar here.
No, I wonder about this all the time because like there are certain sects and certain like groups I left, and then I joined other groups and they're emulating the groups that I left, and I'm like, no, I can't do this. Like I can't hang out with any of you.
Right. A little bit of power goes a long way, it seems like.
We say in the Hispanic community, and I speak Spanish, and people a lot, they say, be more scared of a Hispanic cop. Because they're more harsh on brown people than
Absolutely. Yeah, fair. Let's get Liz says, yeah, cancel culture can sometimes be disturbing in my opinion. I always try to hear someone out and never assume that my perspective is the only one. Fair. Yeah, absolutely.
And I want, like I say this all the time, I want people, especially when I'm pig-headed about something, I want someone to prove me wrong. Like, please, if I'm, and I know I'm being a pig about it, like, please prove me wrong. I know I'm wrong.
Then you're just in it for the love of the fight sometimes.
And that's another thing. The debate me bro crowd completely ruined my internet experience. So I just don't get it because I was never that confrontational. I'm down to chill out and watch a movie. I'm into sewing, for crying out loud, like.
Yeah, I don't have the time or the energy for people to just be like yelling at me, but I'm kind of the same. If there's too many people in a crowd, I have to like really feel like I have something super important to say that I like will butt in, but I'm not a like somebody who needs to hear myself talk in conversations all the time. So I live stream and talk instead. But
I live by the theory of, believe it or not, my father was a talker. And whenever we would go places, we'd be in the parking lot and my mom would look at my dad and be like, listen, I know all of your stories. I want to hear other people's stories. I want to meet these people. I want to hear what they have to say. We know you're interesting.
my human is the same way. He will.
we know you're spectacular.
Right. Oh, Liz says ego and where am I? Show on stream, press the button. Ego, fear, and privilege together can make for toxic community experience. I'm very picky about my online communities. Yeah, and it seems like communities, groups, they kind of like it's not like an outside factor destroys it. They destroy themselves from the inside.
I've watched a few crumble.
Like political groups, everything. They're like, oh, you're not feminist enough. You're not liberal enough. Like, you're not paying attention. Like, we don't need opposition to keep us down. We just keep up the infighting.
And that's another thing. Like, I don't want to hang out with someone that's like me. Do you know what's really funny? My ex-wife and I, we are the same person. Do you know we don't live in the same house? We do not. We don't hate each other. We get along, but we are very much alike. Like scary, and we don't get along. I don't always want to hear my own opinion. I want opposition sometimes.
Right.
Like my son, I call Isaiah my conscience, because we'll be in a store and he's like, dude, do you need another broken sewing machine? How many jackets do you own, Dad? Do you need a double X?
I don't have one in this color.
But I need that young man to remind me sometimes that I'm being a bit overboard, you know?
Right.
Oh, he's a good kid. He's a good kid. Every
Well, at least
time
they're cute when they're
looks,
little.
oh yeah, they are. And then they grow up and talk.
Right.
Isaiah's like he was raised like with me as an only child. So sometimes I have to remind him, I'm like, bro, you're 13. You're not in your 40s. It's okay. Like you don't have to adopt. You don't have to adopt. You can adopt everything. Just don't adopt my attitude, okay? You're
Right.
not
Just
in
be
your
a kid
40s.
right now and enjoy it.
I tell him all the time, enjoy it.
Right. Yeah, because it doesn't last forever. There are tons of shitloads of online communities that are nothing but traumatized people lashing out at each other because of their trauma instead of working on themselves, trying to actually heal. Yes, Eliza Blue.
Gilroy, that's my next tattoo. I will get that across my chest. That I say that all the time. And again, there's nothing wrong with community, but at a certain point, you need to take a step back and be like, we're in this giant circle jerk. Like we're just this giant. I'm over it. I've made people that were my friends. We now will probably never talk to each other because of politics, or because someone's. There's so much gatekeeping. It's weird. And let me tell you, I hang out in West Hollywood, California, and there's not that much gatekeeping there that there is on the internet. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like the way the mainstream media shilled for Amber Heard during that trial. And if you like watched it and saw what was happening, you're like, no, she's the abuser and she's a horrible person. Just because the media was like trying to spin it in some weird way, it was like, that's not the trial. You did not watch that trial.
If anyone ever takes a picture of me when I'm passed out on drugs, I will never speak to them again. She would yell at him like, I watched that trial. I know. I spent 6 weeks. It was way better than the Murdoch trial. I actually decided Friday, I was like, I need to do some CEUs because I'm so bored to tears by the state's case. Oh, she moved. Amber Heard moved within, I love saying like within 45 minutes. She lives like an hour from my house now.
She's back from Spain.
She moved to the middle of the desert and she tried to hide it.
Did she sell that house though? Or did she, because she had the house in, what is it,
like, there's like a house in San Bernardino County out in the middle of nowhere. I always get San Diego County and San Bernardino and Riverside confused because it's all out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But they basically were like, Amber Heard's back. Someone saw her in a grocery store. Let me go if I can find it on Twitter. They were like, she's back.
Well, can somebody give me I don't even know what TLDR stands for, but I want to know, does she actually have a baby, or is this like a prop baby that she hires? Or dolls?
That is true.
Let's see here. I saw people during that trial pulling for Amber Heard and shitting on Johnny Depp. Yeah, I was like, which reality are you living in? 100%. I had friends, people I know who've had horrible experiences who were still dealing with their own trauma that they couldn't watch the trial, but are like, oh, she's a lady, she must be the victim. And I'm like, no, I have to hear and verify. I'm not like believe all women or believe all. I can't. I'm too jaded, and people lie and are co-opting important things for their own nefarious purposes.
I've been to divorce court. I'm a man who has full custody of his son.
Agree.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And not everything is like, court is not what you think it is all the time. When you take two people, and if you put me and my ex-wife in the same room, you'd be like, he's the aggressor. Because she looks like this sweet, innocent person.
Yeah, no, just because ladies seem to do more psychological abuse doesn't mean that they're any less evil or horrible.
Absolutely.
If you're a human, you can be an asshole.
No, I am laughing because that's my Ned Flanders reflex, you know. Instead of saying diddly, I laugh. But yeah, like that, it's hardcore. When you go to court, because, and another thing, when you go to court with a spouse or ex anything, you have a lying contest. You go there and you say this person, everything gets put under a microscope. Or you start, everything turns into a football story. You say, oh, instead of they brushed against me, oh, they threw me across the room. Well, where's the evidence? Where's the
Yep. 100% trust but verify. I'm in the hear but verify. I'm having a hard time with trust issues these days. But
same. You know what? Honestly, like certain online communities traumatize me, and right now I'm being stalked by a certain community of people.
oh no.
And I'm not I'm not one of those people that says, oh, because this one person is stalking me, all of these people are like this. And so that's not why I'm saying the category of what this person is, because it's one individual who is choosing to obsess over me.
Right.
It's weird. The internet is so weird. Like, I guess you're nobody till somebody hates you.
Right. Fair. When I was hearing, his name is Drex. What is the MGTOW podcast? Very interesting. Is a how do I describe Drex? No, never done drugs, never done alcohol, straight edge, like huge black man who is a sex worker, sort of. No, not sort of. I think that's what
is he like an escort?
To describe what he does is in the scene. That's how he describes it. And his kid, like the horrors of what they do to men in divorce court and custody issues when the lady is the aggressor and the horrible person, but they're like, oh, it must always be the lady's always right. But it sounds like a shit show for you guys. Sometimes.
When I won, this guy walked up to me at the end and he was like, I hope you realize that, and the bailiff told me too, but he was like, I hope you realize that you're the first man to win in this court in like 10 years.
Shit.
And I had my judge was the real life Judge Judy. She looked like her. She was the same age. She had almost the same surname. Like, it was scary. And she, you know what? I hate when people say this, but it's true. Because of somebody else's addiction issues, they kept on testing me, and she was mad that I kept on testing negative, that I wasn't on drugs.
Right.
And this one, pot wasn't legal, so I wasn't smoking as much as I would be now. So I was passing, and like they made me quit drinking because that was the only vice they had on me. And I thank them. I thank them. It's been 11 years. I haven't had a drop, and it changed my life. Because I couldn't, and I wasn't like bad, but when I drank, I got drunk.
Right.
But divorce, they basically, if the shoe was on the other foot, my ex-wife would have had custody of my son within a week. We fought for 2 years.
Oh God.
And I'm not trying to it cost over $100,000. Do you know what I could have done with that $100,000? Like,
that's a big mansion for a lot of sewing machines.
Divorce. Like, my ex-wife, I looked at her all the time. I was like, you broke us both. And she's like, I know. And yeah, divorce is no joke. And like, she owes me child support, has never paid it. Okay. I don't care. We get along, we're friends. I don't care. If the shoe was on the other foot, I'd be in prison. Right. She owes me over $25,000. If the shoe was on the other foot, they'd be kicking down my front door. So the system is very much, I call it, it's very Victorian.
Yeah.
And it's not an indictment, and I'm not mad because I won. And like and that's my petty reasoning, but the system is messed up.
Yeah, it is.
And I've seen some pretty awful mothers, because we always have the stereotype that it's always the dad. Well, I've seen some people where I'm like, wow, this is scary.
Right. Oh, that makes me think of a story that I just came on my radar that must be a couple years old. So I guess or these two kids from America's Got Talent. I think they're the Rocket kids. There was custody hearings. They used to live in one state. Now each of the parents live in a different state. So why the original state still has jurisdiction over the custody issues of these teenagers is completely bonkers. But the Judge Amy is his name. He, bless you.
Thank you.
The kids have a magic act, and they're happy living with their dad, who supports them, their work and stuff. The mom's like could care not really so much. This judge put the kids, arrested them in Louisiana, put them in jail on a separate time, like personally escorted the kids down to lockup at the courthouse. And these kids are not even party to the hearings. It's the parents. But he doesn't want them to be in showbiz. And
that's insane. And he has say. He has custody.
The dad does, yeah. But the judge is on his way for getting ousted from the bench for this shenanigans.
That bothers me because it scares me when a judge can there was in Texas, they made a bunch of crazy laws, and there's a scene, and you know what, I'll go to a different story because that's a heated subject. That's not even my community. Activist judges scare me. The fact that you can be like, in California it's a little bit different. Like okay, my ex-wife, she has say, but the percentage, those are awesome, but the percentage is like 75-25. So, but she still has the right to be like, I don't want my son to go to the school, but I have final say. Right. If it was 50-50, she could ruin my life. Right. Or force things on me that, and it's always the stranger parent, the one who's not around, that wants to force things on the kid they don't even know. Right. That's the one thing that bothers me. I forced my ex-wife to be involved in my son's life. I send her pictures. I send her if I get an email, I'm like, hey, did you see this? Good. But I had the benefit of having two parents in my life, and I didn't realize how positive it was until I went in the world and realized most people did it. So I try to make sure. And I get along with my my ex-wife's husband. He's my friend. Good. So there's no drama. I get along with him better than my ex-wife. You're like, thank you for taking this burden off my hands. I tell him all the time, I'm like, what do you need? He laughs. We were at a party, and he's like, he didn't know I was in the room, and he's like, I love William. He smokes me out so hard because he knows what I go through. Whenever he comes to my house, I'm like, here, bro. You want a puff? Daddy. I'm like, you want a puff? I got one roll for you right now, bro. I absolutely love him. That's good, because that's also not the norm either. It's more helpful for the kids when the adults get, or at least cordial. I grew up in a situation like that. And so I can do nothing but return the favor. I always jokingly say I was raised by adults. It's just people chose not to fight. Yeah. Like my brother, his dad, I still, whenever I see him, I give him a hug. I still look at him like he's a person of importance, Yeah. And it's just a sign of respect, because those, like it or not, that person's gonna be in your life. Right. So you might as well be friends. And it depends. Like, if he was an abusive a-hole, it would be a whole other subject. But he's a cool guy, so anything else beyond that is not my business. Right. And that's to go back on the ranting of these darn kids. But I think that's another thing. We just don't have a basic respect for each other anymore. I say please and thank you. I open doors for people, and they're shocked. They're like, what are you doing? Right. Thank you. Or me, I don't understand it, because I
probably because I'm white, my family hasn't lived here this long, but this whole in schools, teachers like making the kids feel bad for things that they didn't do. They're like, oh, you need to apologize because you're white for the horrible things that white people did 200 years ago. Like,
I get in trouble for saying this all the time because I don't toe the line. And I actually come from a descendants of, like, my dad came from straight slaves. It wasn't like there was no stop, pass, go. You know,
right.
I am not mad at people who are not. Though all the people I'm supposed to be mad at are way dead.
Right.
Are like dead and buried. There is no we are not those people. No matter how much we say, oh, we are our ancestors, we have their face, but we are not those people, you know? And unfortunately, we carry the pain from the past. We carry, like I was saying in my live stream, my great-grandfather was an exiled Jew, and it was in so much pain. He was like, I'm a Catholic now. He just did what everybody else did, you know? I don't know. I don't hate white people. And it weirds me out when people do, or they think like, I don't know. It's a really rough subject because that was another community I get kicked out of because when I was younger, I was a total black nationalist. Then I got involved in that world and realized they didn't even look at me like I was black because I was half black. You know?
Right. Like, I fit in anywhere. I'm not black enough. I'm not white enough.
And because I came from a white neighborhood, my nomenclatures and my speech bothers people. It still does. It still does. Because I don't pretend like I always say this. If I grew up in South LA, I would talk like I'm from South LA. I'm from the Valley, bro. Like, no joke, and I'm not even saying this to be a name dropper, but like Molly Ringwald grew up 35 minutes from my house. I'm from the real Valley, like the real life, you know, like shopping malls and roller skates in the 80s.
Right. Let's take a moment that we all know who Molly Ringwald is, hopefully, and that we're all old enough to know that reference.
I forgot about that. That's so sad. I forgot. I don't know what movie it was, but she played like a principal. I was like, off. I'm turning this off. It was like on HBO or something. It was like one of those bad teen movies.
Oh.
And I saw that she was in it in the credits, and I'm like, oh, I got to see this. But she played a principal, and I was like, channel change.
Right. No, we need 16 Candles and Breakfast Club and...
And I blame my sister, too, because she was the sibling next to me. So, like, because she was the older person, she always had control of the television. So I watched 16 Candles. You know, I watched all those Pretty in Pink, you know.
Yes. The good stuff.
All those 80s movies, you know.
And then you were like, can I watch RoboCop and I'm going to forget the name. Short Circuit now, please.
I love Johnny Five. I loved that movie. That was like that and Cocoon.
Yep. Oh God, that was such a good movie.
When I was a kid, I don't know which. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, just segue. Killer says they take everybody as they are. They are awesome folks and dickheads of every persuasion. Yep. You can't pin it down to race, sexuality, or other things like that. Yep. Absolutely. Criminals are criminals, and douches are douches. They come in all flavors.
I got shunned from the atheist community in a lot of ways because I wouldn't toe that line of being like, you know, like you just said, a criminal is a criminal. It doesn't matter what race they are. Like, I live in a town of mainly Caucasian people, so mainly Caucasian people go to jail here. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Like, it just depends on where you live. We're too myopic in our society where we're so, like, I got in trouble for saying this the other day, like we're too white and black in our society. In the American society, we're obsessed with race. We're obsessed. If you ask someone born in Ohio, oh, where are you from? I'm Scotch, Dutch, Irish, Zimbabwe, you know, like they go off when really you're from Ohio, bro. It's okay.
Right.
Like, because people ask me all the time, where are you from? And they're asking me what race I am.
Uh-huh.
But I tell them my town because I just got so tired of people asking me,
Yeah. Like trying to figure out like how are you novel and how can I exploit you because of your novelty?
And that's another thing that scared me about certain communities. They just want to stand next to you because you are what they're like, oh, I'm for this and this and this, or Black Lives Matter. And then you're like, but you're not black enough. So I got to find somebody else who fits the stereotype.
Right. Yeah. I don't want to be nobody wants to be the token for their community.
and I think because I grew up with a different perspective, I upset people that toe the company line because I'm not like I could spout all the nationalistic crap like anybody else, but I don't I'm not saying I'm like Jordan Peterson, but I'm about like put on your shoes and just go to work like everybody else has to.
Right.
Like everybody else has to go to work. We're at a weird point in society where like it's different because I don't live in a place where I don't live in the South where people are going to single me out instantly because of my race, or I don't live like it's so weird and hippie here where people will hate you because of the stupid things you do, not because of the race you are, because of your crappy reputation, not because of who your mother was.
Right. Fair. Good. That's way better I want to be disliked for my actions, not others.
Yeah. So,
well, not that I want to be disliked, but whatever. Love me, hate me, whatever. As long as you have an opinion of me, I'm in the Nietzsche mindset.
I just don't understand why people. Division is weird to me. But again, I'm total like, hey, let's just smoke and get along. Like I got some cool music we can listen to. Like I don't know. I'm of a different mindset, and people are. I'm not agenda driven. I don't have an agenda. I'm not out to get every woman or every guy. I'm not out to like, I think because I did a lot when I was younger. I'm not out hunting in my old age. I went and found out about a few things and I know my limits, so
yep.
I don't know. And a lot of the time, in a lot of these communities, I feel like people they're brand new to certain things.
Maybe, yeah, they're naive.
And where I'm from, we have a saying, born again, anything is dangerous.
Yes. Because how can you be a born again virgin? I don't get it.
Oh, that's always bothered me.
I'm like, no, you took that nut out of the bag already.
Sorry. That's a rope that's cut once. You can never tie that one back together. Sorry, pal.
No.
There's all kinds of labels like that I'm like, come on, like no way. I agree. I totally agree. But see, I have this thing of like I try not to harp on people too bad because self-discovery will lead to where I feel that I'm at right now or where you're at now. Like,
yep.
And there are certain things that I'm into where I'm infantile. I look at this where I'm like, wow, I have a very juvenile view on this.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know everything. I'm always try to be a lifelong learner, and I might decide things change or like.
Have you ever heard of the Self Bill of Rights?
No.
It's that I have the right to change my mind. I have the right to. It's basically saying like you don't have to be stuck in concrete thinking. If you ever get bored, look it up. It's. I weirdly used to be into self-affirmations. And the Self Bill of Rights is just basically like, no, you have the right to completely be somebody else tomorrow. You have the right to change your life, like it's okay to be different.
Stay safe at work, Liz.
I do fear for you, Liz. The PDX area has changed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's gonna. I don't know. Or things are weird. People are weird.
And it's in the same problems that Portland is having, LA is having it, Dallas, Texas is having it, Seattle, New York. Well, New York's a different planet. New York is a conglomerate of problems. It's not just like, oh, it's one or two.
No, it's all of them.
Do you I'm addicted to trash videos on Twitter, okay?
Okay.
And
Like
like
literal
you know,
garbage or like
well, like you
euphemistic
click
garbage?
on something, and then YouTube will show you, I mean, I'm sorry, Twitter will show you 100 other videos just like it.
Okay.
And I watch New York videos of people on the subway, people on the street. It scares me. Like I used to go on the subway in LA. I didn't get into, well, I got into one fight.
Yeah.
But it was never violent, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. Let's see here. Killer Ray says, I've had the same thought. There are so many people who are naive idealists who think their ideal vision is actually achievable and who get mad when they try to tell them it isn't. Yep. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Liz does affirmation. Oh, you're making affirmation memes? That is going to be funny. I sometimes do affirmations, then make memes making fun of me doing it. Yeah, Portland security has been busy. Ugh.
Oh, Liz, she should write a book just about her experiences.
Right.
Gilroy,
Yeah.
I'm addicted to watching those trash videos. I used to go to the scariest neighborhoods in LA and no one ever messed with me. And I like, like it's just a fairy tale when they say, oh, LA is scary, and here New York scares me.
It does right now. Like, it was scary in the 80s, it got better, and now
Yep.
it's back to being weird. But at least, thank goodness for free speech in New York State, because I'm going to forget the guy's name. There's an individual, and then the other place I stream my videos to on Rumble had a First Amendment case, because the New York State was like, all of these places have to have in their terms of service, like, define hate comments or something about speech. And they took it to court, and the court was like, yep, no, these are protected First Amendment things. These companies don't need to do this bullshit.
New York's scary crazy. I watched a video of this guy who was filming a YouTube video and a van pulled up. No, first one cop was like, what are you doing here? And the guy's like, I'm minding my own business. What are you doing? And the van pulled up and 10 officers popped out. That would never, in LA, they'll just come up like 10 cops. I don't know. It scared me. It's very like police state.
Yeah, it is. And the city is very much different from the rest of the state. So if you folks who hear about New York, like, the whole state's not crazy. It's just the city usually.
I've been to Buffalo and I have met some of the nicest people on planet Earth, like
Yeah. Yes, the Midwest of New York.
I was shocked at the amount of people of color there. Because I had never been there. I had never been there before.
Yeah.
And I had a ball. I had a great time. I went to a hockey game. I took my son. We had a great time.
Liz, you should just start telling stories. Just tell random stories. That's how you start to do a security blog. Just be like, and this was my story for a story of the day.
Just the past week is enough for a book. Just the past week of the stuff you told me is enough for a book. I don't know if I have the chops. See, and that's another thing. Like 100 years ago, when I worked in Portland, society was different. I don't know if I could take some teenager trying to shoot me now.
New York is not all hillbillies, but quite a few of them. I may or may not have grown up in New York, and snow is a dirty 4-letter word, and lake effect is 2 dirty 4-letter words. So I speak from experience and begrudgingness.
I always say snow is beautiful on the first day. A week later, it's hell itself.
No, it's like fish and family. It's good for 3 days. After 3 days, it needs to go.
Damn right. Damn.
Except we're supposed to get snow here next week. We'll see, because they lied to me.
Wednesday, we're supposed to get our cold snap. This is the first time in a long time that that groundhog was right.
Well, it's not like the one in Canada who died that day, the morning.
I remember. So who started? I want to know. Do you know all these great like traditions started with a barrel of whiskey? I
Probably.
want to know how somebody was wasted enough to be like, oh, the groundhog predicts winter. Like that does. It's a great story, but how did we get here?
Oh, police state mentality. Where the show police state mentality terrifies me. I fight against that all the time. Yeah, a little power goes a long way, and waving a big fat gun or a billy club is kind of gets to people's heads sometimes.
And also watching videos doesn't help as well, but these are human beings broadcasting what's going on in their lives.
Right.
You know, it's not like they're staging it or anything. Like this is really going on, and that's the scary thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it doesn't pay to be too left or too right, because they're coming after everybody.
Exactly. Well, and the left and the right are still owned by the big corporations, big pharma, the military industrial. The worst, scariest one I heard about that I didn't have, I think they had a name, was the homeless industrial complex. And
Okay,
how if
I
we
could
just
go.
spend, like, why do we spend money on taking care of this issue, but they would have no platform if they actually fixed the issue.
Exactly. And that's why they'll say, okay, like in LA, it's a perfect example. Let's say there's 100,000 homeless people. Okay. They'll say, we're building a complex for 500 people, but it takes $200 million to build this complex for 500 people. But there's 100,000 homeless people. Like they
Right.
don't get it. They don't get it, you know?
Or the ones in New York City who they were like giving them bus tickets to go up to Canada.
You know, one of the most abused sects that people don't talk about is the special needs world. Look at Autism Speaks.
Mm-hmm.
There's more people in my house right now than work at Autism Speaks.
Right.
they're they're just a blanket organization that steals money in the name of autism.
Right. Ooh, I guess we've got a fun fact from Kilroy. During George Washington's inauguration party, to lure people out of the White House so Washington could go to sleep, they put bathtubs of whiskey outside of the lawn, on the lawn. I missed the whiskey part, and I was like, oh, they get to take a bath?
See, that's my kind of party.
Right? You don't have to go home,
drink.
but you can't stay here.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I do not. I used to throw a lot of parties, and I don't. That's the one thing I do not miss about throwing parties, is that one family member that's like, they're lingering and like, oh, I'm just gonna spend the night. Like the hell you are.
No. Now you can get an Uber.
I know. I made the mistake. I partied with my family a lot, and now we all hate each other. We hung out for 20 something years, and we're like, I am sick of you. We. Oh, that reminds me. So I finally finished. I finally made the sweater.
Awesome.
With the material.
Yep, the
And
stripy one.
yes, and it's a pure nostalgia. It took me back. It like totally took me back. I had a identical sweater to that when I was in my like, I'm gonna stop wearing black phase.
For like 10 minutes.
In the early 2000s, I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. So for 2 years, I floated around America, and I would wear my hippie sweater everywhere. And I kind of got known for it, you know. But I will not be adding patches or spanging with this one.
Okay.
And I have my famous spare change guitar I used to travel around with. And you know, when you see someone in a phase of their life, like I always want, like when I see someone playing on the street, I'm like, I want to see what you're doing 10 years later. Mm-hmm. Because I was spanging for like bus tickets, and 10 years later, I'm like sitting in my own house telling my son, like, brush your teeth. Well, actually, no, 15, 20 years later, but
close enough.
Actually, it's right here because I'm a hoarder.
I do have come from a long line of families with hoarding tendencies. No shame.
And this thing is so old. It has a bunch of anti-George Bush stickers on it. Queens of the Stone Age.
Oh my goodness.
Mission accomplished. Nothing. 04. So you know what year
I
this
do.
is.
Yes. Oh, on the aircraft carrier. That was funny.
Awful. That was. Let's see what. Oh, Plea for Peace. I had this weird thing where whenever I'd see a sticker on the street, I would put it on my guitar.
Couch. What is a couch blip? Is that like? How do you know if a hippie was in your house?
In these websites, there. I wonder if half of these websites are even still up. Oh, I mean, these were your car door is a death trap. Straight off the streets of America. Good times. Good times. Yep. A friend of mine picked it up. I had traveled around with this thing for years. This thing is older than most people's children. A friend of mine picked it up and broke a string within one strum. I'm like, give me that. What the hell are you doing with my guitar?
Time for new strings.
Oh yeah.
As long as it wasn't the key string.
Yeah, this like was my faithful companion for years. I mailed it home just because I wanted to keep it forever. That's one good thing about having had a parent that was a hoarder. I could mail stuff to him and be like, just put it in the rafters. I'll be there one day.
Oh man. I know that's what trying to just get through my stash. So I like, who's gonna take care of all my stuff when I'm dead?
I'm like legitimately thinking about donating my stuff to museums because I have some really cool pieces. Like I inherited my dad's old camera collections.
Ooh. And
he has cameras from the Kodak Type A all the way up until, a 2019 what is it? A Nikon D4, And I have like old 8mm cameras, stuff that people wouldn't even like know how to operate now.
Right.
Or like if you gave a Polaroid camera to a 17-year-old nowadays.
They have new ones.
Oh, they do?
They do. You can still get filmed. They're making them again.
Oh, I'm a dinosaur. I didn't know that.
Right. You've got the original version. The thing, my gripe is like telephones. When you ask a kid, like, this is a telephone.
Yep.
This is not a telephone.
You know what's funny? If you did that, I wouldn't even know what that means. Are you tired?
I know. Exactly. Like nappy time.
Yeah, no, exactly.
This is telephone.
Are there payphones where you live?
Yes, there is a payphone at the shopping cart still, I think.
Crazy, Kilroy. I did not know that. I'm going to go buy some film. Would it work on my old camera, though?
If it's the same size, I don't see why not.
It's the old boxy Polaroid.
Right. I don't know, because I think, did the new ones come in minis? I don't know if you'll have to just look online and see.
Definitely. There was somebody, like, I was trying to flex with my camera one time when I was in a different group, and someone saw my camera and they were like, oh, we used to make those in the 90s, not knowing that, like, they just copied the old school technology.
Right.
This is a 4K camera that looks like a mini version of the old 80s camera. Yeah.
I can't even fit it on the screen. They were so big.
I own 3 of them. Because my father was an electrical engineer, he would buy them, take them apart, and put mini cameras in them. He was weirdly obsessed with spy cams. It's the whole like I don't know. My dad was always into technology, so I don't even think he was just weird. He was just an engineer.
Yep.
One of the I'm actually fixing a mannequin right now, but the mannequin over here, the one where its face is completely covered, it has a camera inside of the eyeball.
Oh, creepy.
And like he glued it in so well that I can't take because the camera is worth more than the mannequin.
You're like,
I want these. It's like a real well, the technology is past it, but it's still it's not obsolete yet.
right.
But it's cemented in the mannequin. He did it to the point where if you walked past, you would never know, you know?
Right.
But I don't need a spy mannequin. I don't need
do you? Are you sure?
my kid. I don't need a nanny cam. I don't
You still have landlines where I'm at because of shit cell signal. It's fun watching kids who've never seen a landline before trying to place a call. Fair. I had one up until a few years ago, a landline, but I also had an old school fax machine, and now I e-fax. So
same. I just got rid of my landline a year ago, and it was a big deal. I made a complete. It was a big deal. I'd had the same phone number forever.
Right, it was probably the first one the kid learned of, like, what's somebody's phone number?
Yeah.
Rattles off that one.
Now, in case you go to jail, we got to learn a whole new set of numbers.
Don't get lost, kid.
No, but as the years went on, like there were certain numbers in my family. Like my grandma had the same house for 50-something years. So, if you called her house, someone would pick up the telephone,
Right.
I still remember her phone number, my uncle's phone number, I still remember both my parents' cell phone numbers,
Yep. Yeah, I try to call my parents on the landline just for nostalgic purposes. And so I remember.
Do you think that's generational? Do you think the younger generation remembers numbers now?
Probably not, because you just know the name. They're also going to need to update the it's not on the mini mental status exam, but the dementia exam where you have to like read a clock. And they're going to need to update that because everything's digital. Kids don't know how to tell clock on an analog clock.
That's crazy to me. I still wear watches. Like that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. Or the one thing that gets me that I was told to stop using it in paperwork for anyone under 30 was cursive.
Oh my gosh.
I send everyone emails now. I'm like, if you can't read my writing, I'm too old for you.
Right. Yeah. I just type because my handwriting dispels my profession. So it's easier that way.
I'm tactile. Like I still love reading and writing, like the physical,
Yep.
Just the physically sitting down with a book. Especially like I work in a shop. So like we have a giant like whiteboard where I'll be like, lock the gate, expletive. For the love of expletive, lock the gate, please.
I've always had to keep some kind of contact book. I can barely remember my own number. I do still have my old address book, but all the people in there mostly are my grandparents, and they don't live at those addresses anymore.
I kept my grandfather's just for nostalgia because he had an old Rolodex. But like I know half those places don't even exist anymore, Like,
no.
He passed away 20-something years ago.
Neither do Rolodexes.
I think I have because I'm the one that emptied my grandparents' house. I have his entire office, and so my weird flex. My grandfather was the first Hispanic principal in LA County, so he had 1 billion awards. He had just a ton of cool 1950s stuff.
Yeah.
So anything that was like 1950s, I'm like, oh no, you're going straight to my house. Not even the storage unit.
Right, because you'd lose it in there.
Oh gosh. I recently I told Isaiah, I was like, hey, how are you feeling? Let's go to the storage unit. And he's like, you're sick. You're having delusions of grandeur. And I was like, yes, I am.
You have to get one of those avalanche monitors for when you go in there so they can find you.
I'm that guy that I'm like, you want to go to my storage unit? And everyone's like, no. Takes me a half an hour just to pull the stuff out, just to look in it, because I have a lot of overambitious projects in there.
So you need to go with your list and your camera and catalog what you have so that you can remember what projects, what to do when.
That's my new thing. That's my and also it's been a couple years since I've really gone through it. And like I'm missing a couple things that I don't think are stolen. I think I literally they're just buried in my My father had one of the black singers that had the Pyramid of Gizas painted on it. I don't know what year it was. It was like a treadle machine, and it just disappeared. I remember having it in my hand, putting it in my car, and I don't know what happened to it.
It's lost in the dark zone. A killer is a Rolodex where you slide the thing down to the letter and push the button and it opens up to that letter. I
have one right here.
We've got one that we can send you for $9.99 plus shipping.
Hold on, I've moved so much stuff around, and I have a weird collection of gun holsters from the 1800s.
Awesome.
I put scissors in them and I wear them around the house.
Exactly, because you always need a good pair of shears at your side.
Oh, if you want a bit of nostalgia, I know it says Pepsi, but what is this, kids?
Oh my God, a Walkman.
It is.
There's nothing wrong with being Pepsi. I am Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Coke. You can, unless they bring back the original formula, Coke can shove it.
I have so much stuff. I have so much stuff. It's not even funny. But somewhere in here is the infamous picture of my grandfather with O.J. Simpson. When I was a kid, my grandfather would always talk about his friend OJ. And my grandfather was an avid golfer. And but honestly, I think that generation used that to ignore their wives. Yes. Because it was a good way to leave the house all day and be gone and go get drunk and drive home drunk.
Right. It's the same with like fishing. I'm leaving you.
Oh, that guitar is a mess anyways. It's a wall hang. Honestly, it's a wall hanger anyways. That I've got miles out of that. But where the picture is somewhere in here. And like I always talk about, this is my kids, do you know what this is?
Oh,
hold on, I'll pull it out. I'll pull it out of its
Is this
sleeve.
a 5.5 floppy disk? Yes.
I still have the computers. One day I'm gonna boot up the computers to see what my dad worked for NASA, so a lot of it's probably just machine code.
Right. Well, it's like it's that you've got to learn to code with BASIC before you can code with anything else.
Yeah. But I used to I have all my proof pictures right here because people would be like, not on. I'd pull my picture out and they're like, oh crud. Just like my Bandito grandfather, when I pull that picture out and they're like, holy cow.
So true. Yeah, Killer, they're lying to you. It is not the original formula. But there was that post that Elon Musk tweeted yesterday. He's like that he was going to buy Coke and go back to the original formula. And I'm like, I might be compelled then.
But back in the day, they would literally give people opium. They'd be like, here, take this.
Well, we still do. It's just that it's called morphine and fentanyl.
True. So true. See, Oh, go ahead.
I was going to just real quick that they still use cocaine for some ophthalmological procedures as a dilating agent for the eyeballs.
So because I'm all about, proof over just woofing, here's the picture. And because here's my grandfather right there, literally was raised by the man, but he hung out with O.J. Simpson.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. And there's Another picture here. Let's see if you know who this guy in the middle is.
Oh, is that I want to say Nixon, but it
Bob
looks
Hope.
weird. Bob Hope. Oh, right.
To be fair, they're twin brothers.
Fair. Can I ask you a favor to hold on the fort for 2 minutes? The cats are going to get mad at me if I don't feed them their dinner. I'll be right back.
I'm going down memory lane, and we shall go. Oh, Leatherheads. This has got to be from 19. Let's see if there's a year on here. My grandfather was a real life leatherhead, and he totally had the CRT to prove it. I'm kidding. Liz, I haven't pulled my pictures out in a while. And this guy is okay, so there's much contention. My mom and I argue over this all the time. I don't know who this guy is. I think it's Robert Wagner or like somebody who was famous back in the day, but he was super famous and he visited my grandfather's school. Gosh, what was his name? He was in a bunch of stuff, and the guy next to him is probably famous too. That's the problem with the old school Hollywood people. It's like you're so famous until the people who don't remember you aren't around anymore. This is when my grandfather was a coach of the Army during World War II. He was a coach of the Army football team.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, people got dressed up back in the day. They really did. But I want everyone to see this is a Lincoln Continental. This car was so big that you could fit 2 children, 3. This was my dad's old car, and this car was so big that my brother and sister and I could all fit in the back seat. I miss that thing. God, they don't make land yachts anymore. And you know, it's funny. This is probably some famous general. I have no idea who this guy is. No idea. Oh, Kilroy, that Lincoln Continental was the definition of a pimp mobile. But back in the day, everybody had those kinds of cars. Honestly, if I ever see one, I will buy one.
Oh, that reminds me of my first car was a 79 Chevy Malibu.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep, car was older than I am. Oh, yes. Kilroy, I will take a tall glass of laudanum, please. You had a work incident, Liz. Hopefully that they didn't rough you up and you roughed them up harder.
Human beings are so strange. Like, if I see a sign that says like no trespassing, I just keep walking. I don't go away. Right. I don't. But you
also got stopped at weird places where they were like, "You go, or there's going to be guns, and you will never go."
Yeah. I told you the story about I pulled over going to Vegas one time on the wrong side of Edward Air Force Base. Hey, yep. They didn't have to tell me twice.
Right.
My car it took off. Like, nope. I
don't want to see where you keep the aliens that bad. It's okay.
No. And to those idiots who wanted to storm Area 51, first off, when the military says like, "Hey, we're ready for you," they're saying like, "We'll unleash the aliens on you, dude." Right. What are you talking about? No, thank you.
Yo.
I laughed so hard. They did a giant shot of it, and there was some guy with a 40-foot Confederate flag there, and I'm like, "What? Do you think the aliens are gonna like help the South rise again, or what?" Doesn't make sense, bro. It doesn't make sense.
I know. That's another thing. What do you, all of the tearing down of the old monuments and stuff. What do you?
History has been distorted and contorted. As somebody who has family members, like I say this all the time, and because I'm a rah American, in my lineage, we have over 30 people that we found so far that have fought in the Civil War. 23 of them fought for the South, and most of them were Black. And so I think what we consider history is told not necessarily by the winners, but by the losers as well. And it's told from one side of the story. The most people in the South were Black at the time. Their population was literally like 10-1. There's letters at a certain year, they stopped bringing slaves to America because someone looked around. There's like, holy cow, there's more Black people in the South than there is all of America, you know. I don't know. Again, I don't have a popular opinion though, because how can you unteach history?
I feel the same. I on that same
like mindset. I can't be like Captain Cook was an a-hole, but I wasn't around when he was around. Like,
right.
You know, Gordon, but I'm a fan of British history. They praise their occupiers, but I love some of these guys, you know?
Right.
History's a funny thing. Like, and sometimes, like I said earlier, we adopt the burdens of our ancestors. My dad told me the greatest thing his mother ever told him was, when you leave the South, leave all this BS with you. She says, we're ignorant. She knew she was ignorant. She knew that my dad would tell me, like, his mom and grandmother thought if you got in a car and went over 55 miles an hour, you would go crazy. They were from the old world.
Yep.
They were from a different planet, you know, compared to my father.
Right.
And, you know, and he kind of did the same thing to me. He'd tell me all the time, like, why? He'd tell me all the time, you're from the suburbs. Why are you adopting these issues that you don't live? Because politics is local, you know? Right. So it bothers. I don't know. I wouldn't tear down a statue, but then again, I don't have to look at them every day. I don't know. Stone doesn't hurt my feelings. Maybe the thought of the person behind it, but it's just a statue.
Right.
Like, that person lived and was loved enough to get that people put a statue up. Like,
yeah.
I jokingly said that I would buy like a General Lee statue, but then I looked at the price. They wanted like 20 grand.
Well, he didn't even want any monuments like that. He was like, don't don't praise me, because he almost was on the Union side anyway.
Yeah, they all went to West Point.
Right.
They all went to the same school. They were fighting the same fight, you know, same strategies, you know. I think it's BS. I don't know. Like, if you think about it, like someone like me, I would have reason to fly a Confederate flag because I have lineage and stuff and history behind it. When people use it as a symbol of hate, they don't even know the history behind it.
Right.
You know, I think that's the problem, is that we've done such a detriment to our children that we've fluffed out history, and it's like we hurt each other to get here, and we need to know that.
Yep, killer is a history nut. The closer you look at almost any history, the less sure you get, for sure. I concur.
I agree. You know, my mom, she calls me and she's like, have you seen this movie? See, I did the phone thing.
Good. Yes.
She calls me and she's like, I'm watching this movie about this African queen on HBO. And I'm like, do you want me to tell you the real story behind it? And she's like, call me in an hour.
Oh, right. The one who sold all her people, or the other tribe, into slavery.
She sold more black people than white people.
Right.
It makes me angry. And they praise her like she. And you know what?
Yep.
Okay, let's get down to it. She did all those things that in the movie she did. But then she turned around and was like, "You're not selling my people, but 10 miles down the road,
Right.
you
We
could
don't
take
like those folks.
you see those 10 million people over there? You could take them." She was a fence. She sold slaves. She was a fence. She sold more black people. Like, oh, it makes me so mad. But they're like, so history is who can tell the biggest lie at this point, you know?
Right.
It bothers me. It just and I think I don't know who gets paid. I don't know. Does division make money? Like black people hating white people, Mexican people people hating white people, or vice versa. Does that make money?
I think it does for the big corporations because it's a way to keep people separated and divided. Because if we all realize that we were all on the same page, and most of us are like centrist, whether it's center right, center left, socially, fiscally conservative, but socially more liberal, where most, I suspect, where the bell curve actually is, then we could all rise up against the big corporation. But it's a way of keeping everybody divided and keeping us oppressed.
I say it all the time. Like, everybody's too busy fighting each other. Like, have you read your terms and services on your cell phone? Have you read it? Go read your rental agreement and tell me that you're free. Go read your, like, there's so many contracts that we sign just because we're told we have to, you know?
Right. This is funny, Liz. If I saw aliens land here tonight, I just keep drinking my coffee and go, yep, that seems about right. Can the aliens be in drag? What's a trans alien?
You'd have to find out what they're
find the original flavors.
Yeah, exactly. Oh gosh, don't even get me. There are certain religions, I won't mention them, Nation of Islam, that believe in aliens, and they believe, like, in the Bible they talk about the big wheel in the sky. If you ask someone from that religion, they'll say black people are piloting those ships. Or like,
well, of course, because we've got to represent put ourselves into this story. Why? Okay, another bad opinion. Why did, in the new Velma that I refuse to watch because they're ruining good cartoons, did they have to put Scooby to be a black lady and not a dog?
We have become sick with political correctness and inclusion in our society. We have become sick to the point where we are now forcing political correctness and inclusion. Let me tell you a quick story about Los Angeles, okay? Yeah. It is one of the most diverse places on planet Earth. Do you know what people do? They self-segregate. We have Koreatown. We have Chinatown. We have little Ethiopia. Do you know the Ethiopians, they don't want to live with the Black Americans. we have Nigerians here. We have, like, people self-segregate. Yeah. It's the only place I've ever been that wasn't like that was I hate to say it, Tacoma, Washington.
Yep, read your paperwork.
Oh, totally, Kilroy. I'm evil with that too. Like, I will put my glasses on and sit down and read your contract. No, I think I don't know. Human beings are distracted. Like, there's no difference between us and people 200 or 300 years ago, but the difference is we have more stuff to distract us.
Yeah,
they were much more into social they were much more into interacting with each other, interpersonal relationships. Yeah, and now life is much more of, like, I don't even know. I don't know, because I consider generational, because my mom's generation is sitting at home watching HBO.
Right. I think this is on point too, Killer. I want inclusion, but this kind of inclusion seems more like baseball card collecting and checking all the boxes than actual inclusion. Yep. Oh, followed up with, Liz, I protest for human rights by writing, not a tear it down kind of gal. Yeah. Unless you're the big insurance company industry, and then I think we do need to tear it down and start with something better, but I don't know what the answer to that is.
Are you talking about, like, health insurance?
Yes.
One of the most evil things I've ever seen in my life is because I am perpetually ill. Whenever I'm sitting at the pharmacy, when people get turned away. And they're like, they
Ugh.
don't have enough money, like, or they'll say like, "Oh, your insurance isn't covering this pill, so it's $900." I think, like, what country do we live in? It bothers me.
Yeah, because that makes me think. One of my topics I was thinking of today too was John Legend and his new commercial for Pfizer. Like, I think big pharma should not be allowed to direct market to the public, nor should they use celebrities to market drugs.
So, fun fact, I don't know if it's still true, but we are one of the only countries on earth that have pharmaceutical ads on television.
I think we are the only one.
Because I lived in Mexico. You don't see ads in Mexico. You don't see ads in Canada. You don't see ads like, and whenever
No.
I go to a different country, even if I don't speak the language, I watch their TV. Because I'm weird like that, you know.
Right?
I want to see like their local news or
Mm-hmm.
and it's not like that in other countries.
No, it's not. It's weird. Just because they claim to do the research here doesn't give them carte blanche to like spend millions of dollars on advertising.
And it's for everything. And because of this stupid algorithm, I watch a lot of people that talk about stuff. So I watch a lot of people that talk about RuPaul's Drag Race, or like I watch a lot of drag queens because who else sews every day like I do?
Right?
No, but drag queens sew every day. They sew and they get intricate. Like, I've learned so much.
I know Bob the Drag Queen, when they're doing sewing streams, is great.
I've learned so much, but I constantly get Biktarvy ads, which is an HIV
a
drug.
prophylaxis. Yeah.
Constantly. And I'm like, if I clicked on football ads, would I be getting Biktarvy? No, I would not be. Anything that has to do with the LGBTQIA plus community, they start pushing herpes drugs, HIV drugs. It's gross.
Yeah, it is. And then it's hard to beat someone. Am I just like a egg producer now? The changing of language of like stupidness, but that, like, you can't be a woman and take these things. Like, they're only so PrEP is like for trans women and gay men, but not for heterosexual sex workers with uteruses.
Do you know it took me 9 times watching that commercial to get what they were talking about, and I'm not even trying to be funny. I know exactly, and that's another commercial because I can't believe I'm admitting to this. I watched this really catty show called Chasing LA, where it's just basically a bunch of gay black men fighting each other.
No, that's my weave. No, that's my weave.
They're all like, I'm famous. They're all PAs, or like they're chasing, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to be famous, but don't say you are when you're not. When we live in the modern era, we can cross-reference you real quick. You real quick.
I've got your LinkedIn profile pulled up right now.
But whenever I watch that, they'll give me ads, and I'm like, because when I watch hockey, they're not giving me any of those ads. No, it's
Coors and Bud Light.
That's pretty much what it is. Or like every once in a while, you'll get like a dentist ad, and I'm like, okay, they know what they're doing. Because a lot of people in crappy hockey leagues, like you're missing teeth.
Yeah,
just like
one of my pet peeves about language change, calling companies providers. They aren't internet providers, they're internet companies. They aren't TV providers, they're cable companies. Fair. So that'll be interesting to see what happens. They're having oral arguments on Tuesday at the Supreme Court against Google as to whether their algorithm is biased in its, I'm going to not speak to it correctly, but there's some stuff with Section 230 that's going to be.
How are they going to prove? Sorry, how can they prove that?
Well, they're going to say that the what's the do I have the case actually pulled up here? I might have an article.
That seems super like they had this thing on Twitter that the Twitter algorithm was racist and it was super subjective and they kept on proving it, but it was still subjective until you can actually prove that the algorithm is actually doing it, no matter how many times you experiment. Which it was kind of racist.
Yeah, I think it's how that the algorithm feeds what the company wants you to see. So like this channel or probably my channel, your channel, with the topics that we're covering today is like we've said basically all the banned words except for COVID. So I might as well like put that one out there now. I've talked about J6, I've talked about COVID. We haven't talked about child prawns, but
I said Andrew Tate.
Right. So all of those things are like, you're talking about the bad things that we don't want people to hear about. So you're going to be down regulated on what we serve to others because you're in the naughty camp.
There's only I've learned, I used to say the H word outright and they will not promote your stuff if you say that too many times. Or like I used to call people the N word that ends with Izzy.
Well, oh yeah. Oh,
IZ.
The niches.
Yeah, exactly. And they wouldn't promote my live streams at all. You know, I call lots of people Autsies.
Yeah, I just don't like it when it's overused. Like, I don't know, maybe growing up with grandparents who lived in Poland during the war who were Jews, I like that word to be used specifically for those things. And if you're calling everybody.
Well, that was my thing. I was shocked to find Holocaust deniers.
Oh, yeah. Yep, you don't argue with them.
I started getting in these dumb arguments with Holocaust deniers. And one day I was like, William, you're arguing with 17-year-olds. Stop it.
Yep.
Like, yeah. Stop it. Get off the internet. Like, I would get in these, 2-week fights, and I'm like, why am I fighting with these little bigots? Like, I told them, I hope I never see you in person.
Right.
You little Nazi. That's why on my Twitter, it says ill Nazis like your grandfather did. Because that's, my message. Like, stay away from me. Like, just please stay away from me.
Yes.
Oh.
Yo, Drag Queen content is good. And it's not even Big Pharma's got their health insurance in general. Like there's the pharmacy benefits provider, which medical providers are getting dictated by Big Pharma, the health insurance companies. What industry that you have a fee that you charge and never get paid what your fee is? Except for doctors.
There is not one. Let me look that up real quick.
It's so disgusting.
I want to see what ad. Let me find something super gay. How about Maddie Rant? Let's see what ad pops up.
I thought we were going to talk about Maddie Ziegler and her dancing and her weird stuff with.
That's a dove ad. That's a $1 billion. That's another thing. Like there's only certain companies like Johnson & Johnson, like they are every other ad and they own every other company, you know?
Right.
I don't know, like because I've lived in other countries, like they do not have if you live somewhere else, they're talking about what's going on around you. They have shows. Television is actually entertainment. In America, they're gearing you towards something.
Yeah, to buy stuff. We're stupid food commercials. I can't stand watching TV or even Hulu. I'm like, I don't want to be served another food commercial. Can we get a commercial of eat your bananas or eat some lettuce instead of here, stuff your face on Wendy's and Fritos, hot cheesy fries.
I wish I had that stuff would kill me. I wish I could eat that every day, but it would kill me. I wish I had the constitution to eat that stuff. And inadvertently, because I did not raise my son on fast food, I didn't know I was creating a health nut. And so when I go for fast food now, he's like, bro, are you okay? You having a bad day?
Well, at least he knows your emotional eating cues.
Yeah. Oh, because it's ever since I quit smoking cigarettes, I get the same endorphin rush from chili fries that I would smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
You know, the same the same feel. It's strange.
Yeah, dopamine is dopamine.
Exactly. Absolutely. That is so funny. And the only reason that I'm kind of tripping right now is because lately I've been like, there's been a ton of pharmaceutical ads on my stuff, but it's only when I watch like Trixie Mattel or
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't watched them in a while though.
I know. I guess they just moved into a new house with their boyfriend.
I like success stories like that because he was he grew up in a trailer.
I know, and is such a great, talented, like real musician, and not just a lip syncer.
Because I work hard. Like Trixie Mattel has on Paramount Plus has Queen of the Universe, has that show on like I love that. I run aggressive anti-ad blockers.
Understand how and why people buy all the random crap they do. It's yeah. There are way too many ads. Can we just like show ads for like get a gym membership, eat some vegetables, don't be a douchebag?
So I've been on this really like angry teenage thing lately, and every time I see an ad, I'm like, I'm not gonna buy your product specifically because you're interrupting my show. Like I will remember your product to not buy it.
I know. The $10 I spend for YouTube Premium is so worth it.
So I have a question now that can you watch like TV on it and stuff?
There is the more expensive YouTube TV. I think it's $70 a month.
Okay.
So it depends on what your internet is, because I don't pay for TV because of the way the cable the internet works. I get TV because I pay for the internet.
Oh, okay. Because I was thinking about it. Like I live on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I might as well pay for it. But like one of the reasons I have Spectrum because I live in America. I can't front like I have AT&T or anything. Spectrum has taken over, but I can watch like a really obscure hockey. I can watch
hands.
like I recently got into like this weird Viking throat singing, and there's a channel where I saw Viking throat singing, and I'm like, hey, it's on TV. So if I can watch all my obscure stuff on YouTube, I would gladly disconnect. I bought a bunch of Fire Sticks thinking that would help, but like I just ended up not doing it.
Yeah. I just pay for Hulu. Hulu I get free from my phone. I pay for YouTube.
Wow.
And Netflix.
Oh, and all those people who like, I'm going to admit something, and you can point the finger and call me lame, but I paid for Twitter before Elon Musk was around. I paid, I think it was like $2.99 a month for Twitter Blue, and they're still charging my card, and I don't know what they're doing.
Oh gosh, you should cancel that.
But I don't have a check mark. But basically, the only thing it does is it allows me to delete a tweet. But now that Elon, I mean, you can delete it while you can basically change mistakes. But now ever since Elon took over, you can do that now for free. Right.
YouTube tries to get me to sign up for YouTube TV all the time. I'm like, I'm on YouTube because I hate TV. Fair. Same. Yep. It's true.
And that's my thing. Like, if it helps me completely cut the cord, I'll jump. But like, I want to be able to watch like obscure stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. When Netflix was Netflix, okay, when it had all the BBC stuff, when it had all the stuff on it, it was amazing. But now everything is so privatized, it's awful.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm gonna sign up with one of the who's shilling the VPN, the Quartering, who's got the coffee brand coffee. His VPN that he shills is way less expensive than Nord and the other one. So I think I might splurge on a VPN so I can watch Netflix and stuff from other countries.
I had Nord because I watched a few Canadian television shows, and it's good to catch something. Like, the one thing I like about having a VPN is if something airs early, I can watch it at like 2 in the afternoon, you know?
Yep.
Because I'm in a, you know. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, I also seen that there's a new series of the Great British Sewing Bee, and you can't watch it in this country, and I'm pissed. I'm like, I've been missing you for 3 years. I need my Great British Sewing Bee.
That show is amazing.
I know, and I'm pissed that I can't watch it.
I even I got my mom hooked on shows, overseas shows, and she's calling me like, "Have you seen this? Have you seen this show?" And I'm like, "Don't tell people. Americans aren't supposed to be watching that. Don't scream that too loud." Because for a time that was considered illegal, you know,
Yeah.
to not broadcast from where you are. But now, like, with the technology, like, you could be anywhere and hide your signal. I get calls all day long that the number says it's literally down the street from my house, but the person speaking sounds like they're 6,000 miles away from my house.
Yes, which is helpful when it says scam, but when it's on my business line, that phone has to get answered, and I can't ignore it.
Same. And recently, these geniuses, they have a number that is 3 numbers off from my son's school.
Oh, God. So if you're not looking close enough, you're like, oh, shit, my school calling me again.
And they do, like, and I have heavy communication with my son's teacher, so she'll call me once or twice a week, you know, but never 4 or 5 times a week.
Right.
And it's not like he's in trouble because he's homeschooled. I know what he's doing.
I just made a day or two in pirate stuff. I don't know how to find the only way I've seen for the British Sewing Bee somewhere out of Australia. I don't know. I'm not that. I must be missing something in my tech not savviness.
I hunt. I'm obsessed with Babylon 5, okay? But I went through this weird thing of refusing to pay for it. So I found all these obscure sites. I found even channels on YouTube that just weren't labeled Babylon 5.
Right.
So you just have to hunt and you'll find it, you know? Or someone will say, I'm reviewing it, but really they're just watching the whole episode.
Yes.
I love those people.
I commend all the sewing. Oh, you're so sweet. I don't think I've been sewing enough, but here, because I need to rethread my needle and it's too dark and I can't see, but we do have some sequins sewn.
I've been going off lately. It's been ridiculous how much I've been sewing.
I've got stuff pieced and like ready to sew. I actually like iron some stuff, but
I put a capulet. What constitutes a capulet? Like on a capelet? Is that what it is? I cannot read English.
It's called I think it's a capelet, and it's a little cape.
Okay.
Like just I think you have it on your trench cloak. That would be a capelet.
That's why that's why I asked the question.
Okay, I'm like, you have what you've done that already. Thanks, Liz. It keeps me out of trouble.
This is the smallest cape I've ever made.
Yep.
Because I did all of this from memory because I just kept on Googling Sherlock Holmes cape. Yeah.
You should watch, speaking of not Sherlock Holmes, but a great murder mystery on Netflix. I binged all the episodes last night. It was Lydia Poet, The Law According to Lydia Poet.
Ooh, I need
it's set in the 1800s in Italy, and she's a lady lawyer with murder mysteries. It was great.
Awesome.
And the costumings was to die for.
I still watch old Miss Marple.
Oh, so yep.
If you were really not into sewing or old television, my house would be really boring.
Right. I know. I pressed because I only make underwear, it seems like, right now. So got some.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, she's like super bougie with rickrack and lace and since it's only for me, I don't need to put in hooks. I put elastic so I can slide stuff on over my head because the only person who wears my bras is me.
And yes, Kilroy, Capulet was from Shakespeare.
Oh, Capulet. Ah! Romeo and Juliet.
I do love stupidly and make bad decisions, so I'm all here for that. Oh, who was it? I recently just saw like a video about the movie Romeo Must Die, and I forgot. Is that the one? That's the one with whichever one was Leonardo DiCaprio was in. Was that it? Where they did
wasn't he in the Romeo and Juliet, the 1990s remake?
I watched that recently. Sorry, Romeo Must Die is with Aaliyah and like what's his face. But I actually liked that movie. I forgot it was a good movie.
It happens. There's too many movies to watch. There's too much stuff.
That's what when people tell me, like, oh, this and this, I'm like, no, I need new stuff because I watch the same stuff over and over. And I'm not trying to be like too old man, but a lot of like, and this is, I might go off about this in my video, but I don't think anyone will care. Like, how do you feel about remakes when we live in the remake era of everything?
Yeah, if the original was old enough that I was too young and never saw it, then maybe. But I think they're doing a lot of trashy remakes, and I would love to see them try to remake. I'm gonna forget the name of the movie, Blazing Saddles. Like they would just ruin it. Like you can't do it. It's untouchable.
That's what I'm saying. There are certain movies like, I haven't watched one episode, and I'll probably binge it when the season's over. But like, they are redoing Night Court.
No.
And I was like, part of me at first, I was like, yes. The other part was like, why are you ruining my childhood? Why?
Yeah.
Why? And then during the Super Bowl, I'm sitting there with my family, and the Flash movie or whatever it is, and Michael Keaton is Batman again.
Yep.
At first, I was like, yes, and I'm like, oh, I'm a sucker because I'm gonna go pay $20 to go sit in your flu-ridden theater.
Yep. Well, I wonder what they're gonna do with the Flash because Ezra Miller's got his own host of like bizarre, stupid problems.
I so agree, Kilroy. Like I agree. I totally agree. So it like, and you know what? Maybe we need Michael Keaton in our lives right now, but nostalgia sells and they're getting us. No, they're already, the season's probably over by now. They're probably like on 6 or 7 episodes. I haven't been watching it and I'm anti Peacock. They hurt my feelings with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air remake. Like, what? why does everything have to be edgy? Why? We were goofy. In the 90s, we were goofy. We used to do dances, wear bright clothes. Everybody forgets that.
Yeah. And there's too much it's like they're saying with the Velma, there's too much like trying to force privileged groups into characters so that they're like, oh, we've got representation. But if the character's not authentic, then don't force something that shouldn't be there.
Totally. And see that I don't know. Like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air really hurt my feelings because that was my show.
Yeah.
And then they made every single one of the characters edgy and dark. And I'm like, no, none of them had drug habits. Jazzy Jeff didn't have a lowrider. And let me tell you, an LA myth, you have to have money to maintain a lowrider. Lowriders are very expensive cars. So some kid isn't going to have one,
Right. Unless he's the drug dealer.
True. It bothers.
Did they at least have pagers?
No, because it's Fresh Prince in the modern time.
Oh, no thanks.
And it's edgy. And I lasted about 20 minutes into it. And I called my friend and he was like, oh, you lasted 20 minutes. You should get a trophy. Because we have, like, I have a soft spot for that,
Yep.
Like, it was a good show. Don't ruin it.
Right. That's what I hate about modern media. Everything has to be so dark, depressing, and edgy. Just make something light and fun for F's sake. Well, let's see how it's coming out in March. The 4 nights, 8 episodes of The History of the World Part 2. And I'm either going to be super happy or I'm going to be so disappointed.
I think people should go back and watch the other one. Go watch Blazing Saddles. They should go back and watch Life
Young
of
Frankenstein.
Brian.
Oh, Life of Brian.
Recently on a video I was watching this morning, this person, I also watch videos of people who get botched surgeries.
Oh, God.
And so this other person who was commenting on a person who got botched surgery, this person keeps on going back and getting botched after botched surgery. And they were like, well, I'm happy with the way things turned out. And then they started playing the Life of Brian song. And I'm like, this is so mean. Stop hurting yourself, kids. Stop getting needless surgery. Stop hurting yourself.
Yeah. It's kind of like touches on teachers and surgeries, like the counselors who were telling the FTM kids to start binding without telling their parents, and the body dysmorphia and the surgery. Like, just because we can do surgery doesn't mean we should.
I grabbed my chest it hurts to think like my mother had breast cancer and I've seen a mastectomy scar. They look they look painful. It looks painful.
Yeah.
You know. So I watch, and a lot of it also is to stay ahead of the curve, because I have a son who has autism who easily gets caught up in mass movements. And so because of that, I want to know what's going on with mass movements, which ones are just a phase, which ones are going to ruin your life. Like, and you know what? These were around in my day too. It's nothing new.
Exactly.
No, this is nothing new. None of this, we just have more communication with each other about it.
Right. Yeah, I'm so torn because I do things, prescribe medications, am not anti, but I don't know, the minors not telling parents things that are irreversible and can affect your fertility and fecundity. I don't know.
I don't want to go too much on the limb, but I feel like we're doing these to people so people like Warren Buffett can live forever.
Yeah. Just sleep in Tupperware.
Yeah. I agree with you, Kilroy. Like, my pops used to always say, because he was old school, but he'd always say, like, no matter who you are, no matter what you look like, go in the mirror and say that, hey, you are the sexiest mofo on planet Earth, because you have to live with you, No one else.
This is not a camera. This is not a tech malfunction.
I could tell because I saw your eyes. I was like, oh, that's a cat. That's a cat. I try not to harp on people too much because I'm like old man sitting on my front porch, like, hey, get off my lawn, But like, I pain for people. Like, it's okay to be who you are. Like, I have a giant chin. It's because my ancestors come from a certain region where people had a certain facial feature.
I was modeled this way. It's okay.
I actually know someone in my family that got a nose job to get rid of the greasy bell pepper nose. And like, I don't know, to each their own.
Yeah. What Madonna's done to herself, she doesn't even look like her old self anymore. Yeah, I don't know. Is she trying to be like Ollie London trans Korean? I don't understand.
They're not. All the time Isaiah comes running in here with his computer. He's like, you need to watch this. Legitimately. He showed me a picture. I was like, who is that? He said, that's Madonna. I said, what?
On what planet? Maybe she's the trans alien.
She has, okay. So being from a place where people are obsessed with plastic surgery, it's not rare to go to the store and see a woman with her face out to here because she just got Botox. It's not rare to see someone's face completely wrapped where I live. There is a certain look, when people get a certain amount of plastic surgery, you end up looking like a cat. So there's a certain, Madonna has that LA face. I call it LA face. Like where I live, Madonna has the face of every woman over 70 who is a millionaire in LA.
Right.
Like,
if you've got the money, yep. They're like, I'm going to look. So then we get into this whole like ageist and not being able to age gracefully and having it like, just put some, ask them to get some tape and like.
That's exactly we used to say back in the day that like they just put the foot on the back of someone's head and pull back the wrinkles and just put a clothespin there, you know.
That's like my human tying me into my corset. Madonna needs to chill the hell out. It's not natural to look that way at her age. No, it's not.
I think older women are attractive. I think older people are attractive. Like rock your gray. Rock your wrinkles. There's nothing wrong with showing like, hey, I made it here.
Right. It's experience. These are my war wounds, like my scars, different things. Like this is my story of my experiences. Though I do try to, when I see my mom color my hair, because I don't want to have more gray hairs than she does. But
I'm in this weird phase where I'm accepting my gray right now, but I reserve the right to see. Here's my thing. Dye jobs on men do not look right. When I have yet to see, I recently saw a man on television where his beard was jet black. It's not natural.
No,
it's not. Like I can tell you dyed that, bro. Like it's okay. I don't know. I think because I've had so many bad examples. Excuse me. I try to embrace what I look like because I know somebody and if well, she's probably not watching, but like someone I absolutely love and revere. We're the same age and she's already had her eyes the crow's feet pulled back. The problem with that is once you get that, you have to get it for the rest of your life.
Right. I know there's too much maintenance. I'm going to wait till like, if I have the money and decide to do it, I'm going to wait till the very last minute and not start too early.
It just shocks me how much people are willing. I refuse to wear funny shoes that hurt my feet.
Fair.
Like, I don't know how people would do all of this stuff to hurt themselves to impress me. Let me tell you. I'm not looking at your fingernails. I'm not saying, oh, their chin, they got a chin job. I wouldn't even notice if you didn't tell me, you know?
Yeah. The only reason I'm excited to go gray is so I can dye my hair more fun colors, like and not having to bleach it first.
That is true. When I was in high school, I bleached my hair and it was jet black. So, you know, I've had tennis ball green, red, but you got to go blonde first, you know?
Right. And then it turns out that weird, brassy, like funny, orangey blonde that's not nice. And you're like, all right, this is just a stepping stone.
My hair I bleached it so much. When I put the dye in, it became like Sinbad auburn. And people thought that's what I was aiming for, but I had red hair in high school.
Yeah, you're like, no, this was a bad mistake.
I just fried my hair. But I went through a ton of phases. First, I started with Sun-In. Do you remember Sun-In?
My hair's too. I'm surprised it would work on your hair. My hair's just dark enough that like, yeah, it was a waste.
It didn't. And because I'm an addict, I'm like, what can I do? And my cousin, who was Irish and Spanish, was like, let me introduce you to hair bleach. I bleached my whole fro. My whole fro. It was bad.
God. And you're like, please give me the manic panic.
Oh, man, those were good days. My dollar store used to sell hair dye. Those were the good days.
Liz says she likes to look human. I've earned my wrinkles and wouldn't want to erase them. I definitely need to dye my hair again, though. Sinbad. I definitely need to dye my hair again, though. Sinbad Auburn. And she was obsessed with Sun-In. Oh, gosh. too funny. I remember we used to just put like lemon juice and try to sit outside, but I have a 5-minute burn time and then I turn into a lobster because I am vampire paper white with see-through
My
to my
mom's like
veins.
that. It trips people out because she's like super Hispanic, but she's allergic to spice in the sun. And they're like, you're the most un-Mexican Mexican I've ever met.
Well, she's Spanish. I mean,
Yeah.
it's true. Like, if you're born in Mexico, like, then you're Mexican. You're born in this country, you're American, even though you're like, oh, but my family's from Poland and Russia and Ukraine.
It's a weird point of contention in my family because the more Caucasian people would say, I'm Basque, because they are. But my grandma would be like, time out.
No, right.
She's like, I'm from Mexico and your grandfather's from Mexico. So she would say she's Mexican, even though she was Caucasian herself.
Right.
But you know, they were both very Spaniard. Very.
Yeah. Once in a while, I think about dyeing my hair, but I have sensitive skin and really don't want to risk pissing it off fair. Yep, that's what life on Benadryl is like. I come in 2 shades vampire and lobster. Yes, I know I'm not the only one who refers to them like, this is my beautiful vampiric complexion.
There's to be fair though, a long time ago, I asked a dermatologist. I said, hey, do Black people get skin cancer? And he was like, just as much as everybody else, do not let people lie to you.
Right.
Like, he was concerned that I asked that question.
Yeah. Well, who is it? Rihanna with her new skincare line had a sunscreen that didn't have too much titanium in it, so you didn't get that like weird ashy white cast look.
I saw this weird thing where these people, they had this weird imaging thing and they showed how much sunscreen actually works because it literally coats your skin. But you have to get a higher SPF. It's not all that lower stuff is just smells good and is for show.
Right. And I think the best ones are the Korean ones because they actually have to the SPF actually is what it is and isn't just like in the ballpark. Kilroy says, I've burned in the shade before I stay inside. Walls and roof are the best sunscreen in the world. Fair. Yes, I do avoid the sun like the plague.
I'm weird about certain products like that because a lot of those countries, especially African and Korean products, they have skin bleach in them.
Oh.
Because the number one buyers of skin bleach are people in Africa and China.
Yeah.
So I really have to read the label because a lot of self-hating. And you know what? Have you seen a picture of what Sammy Sosa looks like? The old baseball player?
Oh, is he trying to do like the Michael Jackson, like not black, I'm white boy now?
If you ever get bored, I had a stream years ago where I used the phases of his skin color as the thumbnail, but I took that stream down. But like he was darker than me. And he's your color now.
Yeah, don't hate yourself that much. We've got this like white hate, but then we're like, but I don't want to be the color I was born either. Like,
it's one of those old cliches. Tall people want to be short. Short people want to be tall. Dark people want to be light. Light people want to be dark.
I know the white girls who would like put on the Crisco and sunbathe to be. I don't get it.
I dated a Norwegian woman who eventually became an ivermectin drinking person who lives. Where does she live? She lives somewhere in Oregon, like in one of those ski towns. Some more eastern Oregon. So, like outside of though, like more like in mid Oregon, eastern. But it's like but she is from Norway and she's addicted to tanning.
Oh God. Yeah,
there were certain times where she's literally blonde hair. I mean, she had light sensitivity where she had to wear sunglasses outside. Yes, thank you, Kilroy. Sammy Sosa hurt himself.
Yeah,
it's disgusting. What and I use Sammy Sosa as a precautionary tale of like self-hatred will lead, and that's why I watch people that regret their surgeries. That's why I watch, because like I don't like myself sometimes, but I'm not going to do something drastic.
Oh, so true. Especially when you live in a place where there's water moratoriums and they can't water the golf course.
Here, like I gotta basically what they do is they tell you like you must be growing marijuana. We're gonna tax you. Like, why are you using all this water?
Yeah.
I was actually shocked. My light bill was $67 last month. Wow. I thought it was gonna be like $500.
I know, because it's been cold. The electrics, mine's been going crazy, but I don't have gas heat, so everything's electric at my house.
Oh, I was so shocked because they've been warning us the bills were going to be high too. I opened it and I was like, "Holy cow! Turn on the furnace, get that heater going, man."
Oh, that's funny. You should make a meme. Yes, make more meme. Can we have some more memes, please? Oh, did you get frozen in there? I hear you, but your picture is stuck.
Can you see me now?
I can see you. It's just froze. Maybe it's just me.
It might be you because you freeze a couple of times.
Okay, fair. Hopefully I didn't make one of those like funny.
I don't even react. And I have the stream right here. I think it was you.
Okay, possibly.
I can't look though because the delay, there's like a good 20-second delay or something. So I'll look and see what I was doing 20 seconds before. It's the weirdest thing.
Oh, I know, that's funny. You're working on it's just in the back end that looks funny. But I see you and you look good. Okay, so at least it's just a me thing. We do need memes.
I am actually a meme addict. I am one of those people who like I'm good in Twitter groups because I like laughing. I feel like people we take ourselves too serious sometimes.
Yeah.
Like to the point where I know people that have had strokes, heart attacks, you know.
Killer Ray. Our electric is average, but since we basically live in the fracking capital of the world, gas is cheap.
That's like I always ask, like, why is beef and certain prices going up when I know it's coming from Northern California? Like, the food is near me. Why am I paying more?
Well, I wonder, I mean, prices are probably going to go up with the that tractor trailer in Arizona that crashed this week that had the nitric acid on it that was going to be used for fertilizer.
What do you think about all these disasters we're having? Because it's more than 3.
Right? Because there was another train run by Norfolk in Michigan that got derailed this week. I mean, Buttigieg is not doing a good job with our industry. We're not taking care of the railways enough.
Was he the knob that said, "Oh, there's over 100,000 derailments a year"?
1,000, but yes, yeah.
That's not okay.
No, it's not. No, our railways are not being maintained appropriately. The companies that are trafficking the hazardous materials are not doing it safely, and we're suffering.
I love taking the Surfliner in California. It goes from LA to San Diego.
Yep. Laugh a lot. There's too many serious people out there. Yep.
You have to. I'm not kidding you. Like, I use examples of my predecessors. I've known people that were stressed out their whole life. They die young.
Yep.
I knew people, like, I used to have to ask my dad, like, do you care? Because you don't ever act like he lived longer than he should have. Because he let nothing bother him, you know?
Yeah.
And there's got to be some science behind that.
Well, laughter is the best medicine. And if we're not able to laugh at ourselves, then we shouldn't be laughing at others.
Absolutely. That's why, like, in my videos, like, I'll put in parts of me laughing. That's because I did something really stupid, idiotic, or I'm like laughing at myself because
Right.
I'm a grown man who sews and I still like to play dress up. Judge me. Judge me. Judge me.
Come at me, bro.
Come at me, bro. Debate me.
Killers used to take themselves so seriously in the past. I just want to relax and not take myself seriously. It's not worth it being a hard ass on yourself.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And that's the key. Like, you balance, man. Just
Yep.
You got to be somewhere in the middle. It's okay to be gray.
Yep. Yes. Everything in moderation, including moderation.
Yeah. No, it's so true. It's so true. Like, even lately, I've told myself, like, man, you need to take a break. And then I make an effing coat. Or like, I'm like, oh, I need to relax. And then I made like a sweatshirt poncho.
Yep. I know I need to redraft my pants pattern so I can make my updated Victorian Edwardian split skirt / Junko hybrid thing.
You totally inspired me to I've been cleaning out my closet for the past 2 weeks, remembering all the things that I've been making, and like I made some really awesome bell bottoms back before like I knew what YouTube was about. Fuck, alcoholic stress is biggest addiction. Yes,
it is.
Yeah. Are you kidding me? At my job, it is known that people die at their desk.
Oh,
no way. Someone I really respect, MOB. Those were his initials, but
the mob.
He died
Rip
at
mob.
his desk. Yeah, he died at his desk.
I want to die at my sewing machine. Or on stage.
Go out like was it Jeff Gordon? No, Dale Earnhardt died in his car.
Yep.
At least, you know, that's the old cliche. At least you died doing what you loved, you know?
Right.
I love so many things. You would have to like cut me in million pieces.
We're going to quarter and draw you and then leave you in different places.
Or you could just do the Big Lebowski thing where you put me in a coffee can and I love that movie. But
that is a good one.
Do you know the commercialization of it kind of killed me? And I've told this story before, but it's not there. I don't know if it's there anymore, but my local mall has a Big Lebowski store.
Ugh.
And it kind of, and I remember walking up and being like, I'm kind of not okay with this, but that's a thick sweater. But that's a sick sweater.
Right. But I can make it for cheap, well, not necessarily cheaper, but
I could go to the wool. I could go to where they shear the sheep.
They sheep the shearings.
Oh man, it wouldn't be a stream if I wasn't inferring if I wasn't just completely jumbling words. You know, I think about this all the time. I've had a few head injuries, so the fact that I can still look someone in the eye and I can still read my own writing is a miracle. And I was being chivalrous a long time ago, and I got hit in the back of the head with a chair.
Oh,
and
God.
that Tweety Bird thing where you see a halo of stars is real. That's real.
Oh, concussions are sucky. I'll probably die working, but I'll be working on something I love. And yes, put me in a Folgers can when I go. And I've gone to wherever you go.
Damn right. I've been sincerely looking up the pods where you get put under a tree.
Oh, yep. Well, here we've got like green burials where it's like all biodegradable, compostable.
Totally. I want the universe. I want to be incorporated back into the earth that I came from. You know, Do you think that's selfish as human beings that we put ourselves in boxes thinking we're going to be preserved somehow?
I think so. And it just takes up so much space. But I guess it's better than just don't make me into Soylent Green, please.
They're people. The ingredients is people.
Yeah. Yeah, that protein powder at Rite Aid is terrible. That Soylent one.
There was a
It's just too
doctor.
creepy.
There was this Doctor Who episode that like for a while I was scared of cremation, and I'm like, man, I don't believe in any of that. That's just science fiction. I need to get out of my own head. But basically, like, there's a realm where you go, you don't die, but if you get cremated, you show up on fire.
Well,
Doctor
that
Who,
would be cool.
it's the BBC. It's the BBC. Like, so it was a very polite way of scaring the hell out of people.
I'll take it, because then you take up less space when you're cremated too. Like, who needs? Just spread me around and just, I don't know. Don't make a big deal about it.
I agree with you. Like, I'm dramatic, so I want a Viking funeral. Put me on a boat, set the boat on fire.
Okay, put to sea in your boat.
Can you just put me on like a Walmart canoe, set it on fire?
Fair. All right, we can do that. Make sure it's the wood one and not the no inflatable rafts.
No, that'll pop and that'll be just sad. I saw that. I don't know. Like, I saw this video of I don't know if it's real, but it was a body that felt like they were carrying a body and it fell at the bottom of the casket.
Oh no!
And I was like, that is the worst thing ever. That is awful.
Yeah, good job being able to enjoy laughing at yourself and being proud and able for what you can do, Liz. British TV's hardcore.
Do you know? Yes. Also, they're very like they infer things more than talk about it, so they'll like overemphasize on something, and then you'll be like, "Wait a minute, that's disgusting." They're just not saying it.
Right.
They have an art form of being passive aggressive. That's the only reason I couldn't live in the UK is because I'm very abrupt and very like straightforward.
Yeah, I don't like the weather. It's too much like Seattle, and I don't like that Pacific Northwest rain. Can I go? Leave me in Nice in France. Take me to the beach, please.
See, but that's the thing. Like, it's so weird. France has weather like anywhere else. They have seasons, you know, but they get hot as hell there. England, which you can literally see, like from if you're standing on the beach in Normandy, you can literally see the UK. It's freezing there.
It is. Oh, but the ferry ride from Bristol to Cologne, is that what it was? Yeah, because the White Hills of Bristol, it's a beautiful ferry ride.
The UK is beautiful. Like, I will say the one thing that, like, I always jokingly say that, like, I've been around the world, but I had to go to the UK to see some of the greatest collection of African, Filipino, and like name a country they've been to.
Right.
Like, it is one of the only places where you walk out and there is a freaking obelisk on the Thames.
Yeah.
Like, literally, like you're like, this, like, what the hell is this doing here? You know, France is the same way too, though, because if you go to the Louvre, you're like, wait a minute, that's Egyptian. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe in being extremely upfront. If you're passive aggressive with me, I'll be pissed off more than if you insulted me outright fair.
I say this all the time. Like, if you ever want to find out, like, insincere people, just put me in a room. I drive passive aggressive people insane. Just throw me in the room and they'll eventually either run out screaming or say something insulting.
And both of us just fine. At least we know what side of what team you're playing for.
I just find a real insincerity of somebody that always has something hidden. Like yeah. just say it, man. Like, it's okay. You know what? And that's the thing about life. It's okay to make mistakes. I misspeak all the time. All the time.
And it's okay to not have to agree with everybody all the time. That everybody's got that we all have to toe the same line is just dumb.
Super. And that's why I didn't get along with the extreme left, because it's like you're either with us or you're not, or you hate us.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, no, you're just not being reasonable.
No, and I constantly talk about this, and this is one of the reasons they hate about me and the other group. I live in a world of Orthodox Jewish people, of Mormons,
Uh-huh.
of
Yep.
Catholics, of people I've known my whole life are Muslim. We all get along. We all are from the same town. We all like someone I've known my whole life. I recently was like, "You're Jewish?" And he's like, "Yeah, you've known me since we were like in elementary school." I had no idea.
Right, because it doesn't matter. Some people still are like, it doesn't matter what I do in my own home, in my bedroom, and all these other places. Like, I'm either a good person or I'm not a good person. All these other descriptors don't really matter for how I.
My neighbor is a Mormon, and he well, most of my neighbors are Mormons, but he brews beer in his garage, and I see his kid walking down the street with a Pepsi all the time.
Extreme sports, sure. Extreme politics, no thanks.
I think the problem is, in today's society, people will wear one label like it's a helmet. And do you know, my sexuality is rarely brought up in my everyday life. I could care less what anybody else's sexuality is. If we, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think we have this weird familiarity with each other where, like, you have to know what the person, like, I don't, if we're not boinking, then you don't need to know.
Exactly. Right. And I think the same with religion and all these, hey, hands. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's just maybe I'm old school. I have this rule. When people ask me all the time, "What's your sexuality?" I tell them my sexuality is don't ruin my life.
Yeah.
Can I find a partner that doesn't try to ruin my life? Like, let's start there.
Right. Don't be a dick.
Don't be a life ruining dick. People are like, I don't know. I think we're way too much in the like, and again, I'll party with anyone. I'm okay. Like, I don't care what you are. Just, thank you. Yeah. Like, just don't be. It's become so complicated in today's world where I'm fighting people who are on the same side as I am.
I know. It's so bizarre. It's like I hate hands. Oh, I don't know which screen I'm seeing on. Exactly. My sexuality and gender aren't my personality. I have plenty of other shit going on than those two things. For sure. I'm a human first. My favorite bodybuilder describes everybody as being a circle, so I'm a human and a circle, and other than that, that's for me to know, and if I like you enough, you may or may not find out.
Well, if you work out too much, you end up looking like a Dorito. Because you're like heavy up at top and then small. I'm kidding.
I already have that problem, but it's called genetics.
There's a bodybuilder type of like the person who skips leg day.
Oh, yeah.
So they're huge up top and they have these like stick legs.
Yep. Yeah, no, I was just blessed with giant chesticles or huge tracts of land.
I'm a hobbledehoy. And I love using that. It's a British word for being oblonged. I have the wingspan of somebody who's 6'2". I'm 5'9", and I wear a size 13 shoe.
Oh my goodness, you are oddly proportioned.
But I'm really good at swimming.
Right, I know, with those paddles and giant wingspan.
I have flippers for feet.
You have flippers for feet.
Oh, it makes like people trip out when they see my shoes and I take my shoe off. They're always like, when I put my shoes on, they're like, is he lying? He's lying. And they're like, oh my God, he's not lying.
Yeah, no, I have the opposite. People are like, you walk around on those little like barely bound feet.
I always say I'm spare parts. I'm the like my parents were older when I was born. Like I am the definition of spare part.
You're the last of the genetic material we got, kid.
They were in
Enjoy
their
what
40s. Like I couldn't imagine. My dad was 2 years older than I am now when I was born.
Oh
I
my god.
couldn't.
So you try to think of like having a newborn at your age, you're like, I need my sleep when I sleep.
You know what? I wouldn't like. I had brothers and sisters who replaced my dad in that way because my dad didn't care about sports. You know, he didn't care. Like he was an electrical engineer. I asked him all the time when I was much older. I looked at him one day. I said, bro, why'd you have so many kids? And you didn't even like kids. He laughed. He's like, you know why?
We were Catholic and your mom wouldn't put a kid in it and we did the right things.
Catholics have more fun.
Because every sperm is sacred.
I wouldn't do that. I don't know if I could do that to a kid. Like see, Isaiah, we progressed at a like I was in my late 20s when he was born, you know, almost 30. So I was still in physical enough shape when he was a little kid. I could run around with him like endlessly, you know. My ex-wife has a 3-year-old now, and he hangs out after 2 hours. Like, I love you so much. I'm so glad when you go home.
Right.
Because I need a nap.
They're high energy.
They are. And, you know, teenagers are a little bit more like he's in that like I'm too cool phase, you know. So
right. So when he comes around, you're like, I have to stop what I'm doing because this might be the only 5 minutes I see him today.
It bothers me though because I told him he's not allowed to watch Jordan Peterson. So when I walk in his room, he like will pause his computer.
It's like he's watching porn.
Because I came from really angry, overbearing parents. Like I tell myself, like he's a kid, he has the right to privacy, you know. Like because my parents were like, no, I own you. My parents, they're like, privacy. Who told you that? Who told you about privacy?
Until you pay the bills, you have none.
Old school. My parents were old school, and like he has a girlfriend. And my only thing is, I just don't want it to borderline on unhealthy.
Yeah.
You know, like because he has autism, like if there are certain obsessive habits that I notice, I'm going to say something.
Yeah.
I'm going to say something right off the bat. Or if you start falling too much in love, I'm going to like, you know, I'm a realist. So I'll tell you to your face, you may not be with her 5 years from now.
Right. Absolutely. And all those talks of like, and here's the condoms and how do you do all these things?
It made me laugh though. Oh, he would kill me if he heard. She wants him to get a mono test.
Oh, okay.
Before they kiss.
He doesn't understand that that's not how that, I mean.
So but the problem, see, at first I was like, oh, cool. But then last night on Amazon, I was like, mono tests are $89. I don't know if I want to pay $89. See, but like, I don't know if I want to pay $89 for you to reassure your girlfriend.
Well, and the rapid mono test isn't that accurate. You're better off with the blood test for Epstein-Barr and cytomegalovirus. But because they're in the herpes family of viruses, you can have been exposed, not really been sick, and then had them reactivate later on in life.
Oh, that's so scary. I got mono when I was a kid. I got mono to the point where both of my glands swelled up completely. And I was quarantined for 4 months in junior high school. I read The Hobbit. I watched every Law and Order episode that was on in the early 90s.
Oh, that guy who just died today from Law and Order.
Oh, don't tell me. Was it Jerry Robach?
No,
he passed away a while ago.
Was it let me consult the Google.
Oh, it wasn't the lawyer, was it? Oh, why am I going on Paramount? Where's Twitter? Twitter's good for death announcements. Richard Belzer.
Yep.
He was in Baltimore too.
Yes.
The old school when TV was still hardcore.
Yep.
Oh, that's sad.
Wasn't that one called Homicide? My friend was telling me about it because when she was in theater school, some of her friends were on that show as extras.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, that's sad. I have finally reached that age where, like, when people pass away, it makes me feel old because I remember them when I was kids, you know?
Right.
Or like I don't know. It's funny when time passes you by.
Yeah.
Because I watch a lot of like older television shows, and like when I watch the old Sherlock Holmes, I'm like $89 and a kid. Totally Kilroy. That's what I'm like. I'm a wheeler and dealer. I'm like, well, for that same $89, we can go to the zoo, eat chicken fingers, and have a great day. I can take everybody to the zoo for $89. Eat some great food, some overpriced funnel cake.
Oh.
I like her initiative, though.
Absolutely. And I think it's good to normalize talking about it of like, and we're going to go have like get tested before things happen. I think that's something that does need to be commended, and we need to normalize and do more of it.
Where I'm from, and when you date someone, it's almost like if they're not willing to go get a test, that's almost like a sign like you have something that you're trying to give me, you know? So if I'm the kind of guy that'd be like, well, I live like a pirate. Let's go get tested, you know?
Right.
Let's see if the scurvy finally caught up with me.
Look at all the rock stars dying, and I'm like, wait, I thought some dudes would live forever. Yeah. I think Ozzy's on his way out. I think Bruce Willis is probably on his way out pretty soon here.
Do you know Ozzy? I used to go to Ozfest every year when I was a kid, and I thought Ozzy was like the freaking steward of hell. And do you know what ruined Ozzy for me was the show. When he was just a hobbled old man he had rain in his ears. That, like from the years of because I used to go to concerts and you'd still hear the show when you're laying in bed, because you were standing next to the speaker.
Yep. Hearing protection is important, kids.
Do you know what's so funny? Like, I can always tell people that are in the military when I go to shows because they're the ones that show up with it because they're like prepared.
Yeah, absolutely. Because even tractors, lawnmowers, machinists, you probably should wear some earplugs.
I have my my chainsaw ones that I wear they're good for the range. They're what's called range rated, where you can basically shoot a gun and it won't pop your ears.
Right.
But I love them because I put them on and I put my earbuds on with those. I'm on a tractor and cannot hear the tractor.
Perfect.
I love that thing. I love that. But my because I'm in the office, I have to delegate. And I've been told that I'm a bad boss because I like being out in the field. Literally and figuratively,
You're doing the grunt work and you're supposed to be better than that.
Oh my gosh. So I'm in a kind of an ethical pickle right now.
Okay.
If that's what you want to call it. I do outsource jobs for people with special needs. I help out people. I put handrails in for people who need them in their bathrooms. It's one of the many jobs that I do.
Mm-hmm.
I recently semi-agreed to take on a job of a house of somebody who it's just a bad situation. And I don't know if I want to take this job or not. But I said I would. But again, self-bill of rights. Like, I feel like I might be putting myself in harm taking this job.
Yeah. Well, did you sign any contracts or was it verbal?
All verbal.
Okay. Then.
And it's not even on my reputation. It's not even. This is on the other side of LA. But I will always help people with special needs. but they're like this woman, basically the caretakers are sketchy. And I walked in and I'm like, that person's on drugs. That person's on drugs. Like, you know, I'm a grown man. Like, and because I'm a parent, I told the person like, you got a couple other problems besides this.
Right. Yeah. Well, then maybe say like, I'm sorry, I've got some, not to like do a white lie or something, but like, I'm sorry, I don't think I'm a good fit. Here's some referrals for others who might be able to help you out.
I might have to do that. And plus, I don't believe in providence. I don't believe in a lot of things, but I got sick last week. I used to do Same.
Yeah, so the universe is telling you it's not this is not the good fit.
But I feel bad. That's the Catholic in me. I feel bad about everything I do. I regret everything I do. I feel bad about everything. So I end up putting myself in situations that I'm not comfortable because I'm too nice to tell people to F off.
Yeah, no, I think for your kid, for you, that this is the universe saying like this, you can be a good human, but part of it is being a good human to you and being like, nope, not this time.
And part of it too is when I pulled up to this one part, I have weird dreams. And if anything ever matches my dreams, I'm like, ooh, that's not necessarily like I look at it almost as a warning because I have I have such lucid dreams where like I'll have a dream that I'm sitting here talking to you like I am now. Then I'll wake up and be like, oh, I wasn't talking to Phoenix. Like my dreams are like I the other day I had a full conversation in my dream and I'm like, holy crud, that person isn't even in the same state as I am. And I had this dream that I was having a conversation with this person, you know, but it tripped me out because I'm no longer a spiritual person. But there are road markers along the road that are like, bro, I go more by experience where I have experienced a lot in my life. And there's a lot of people who are like, sewing is BS. Man, I've been through a lot in my life. And I tried to use that experience. I tried to utilize that experience, you know, cat bomb.
Okay.
And so, like, maybe I know. I'm so glad that I talked about it because, like, again, me and my ex-wife are very much alike. We're money oriented.
Yeah.
She told me today, she's like, you care about your safety? Go make. She's like, this job's worth a ton of money. And I'm like, hey, I'm not as reckless as I used to be, you know?
Right. Money isn't everything if you aren't alive to enjoy it.
It's just I am surrounded by senior citizens and people with special needs. So when you come around me, you're like, okay, I don't get a bad vibe around this guy. But when I go around other people, I'm like, I get a bad vibby around this guy. Like, I'm not gonna. And then like everyone I don't know. It's just but my word is gold. Like I stake myself on my reputation, but sometimes I open my big fat mouth and take jobs that I
well, that's part of growing up and life experiences.
I agree. I don't know how to say no sometimes. That's my problem.
It's a learned skill and you'll have to continue practicing it.
It's one of those things where if I'm not in imminent danger, I don't know how to be like overt.
Yeah, you'll get better at it. Let's see here. Killer Ice says, I remember dream conversations and thought they were real before. And then I'll talk to the person and they're like, but we never talked about that.
Oh, it's a mind ebb sometimes because I wake up and I'm like, oh, I thought I was at the job. But when I dream about my job, that's anxiety. I know that.
Yeah. That's like waking up naked at a test. I'm like, no.
I actually had that dream as a child. Where I was in my tidy whities walking into the I actually had that dream. That's a classic anxiety dream. Like Kilroy, I read this book on lucid dreaming and it changed my life because dreaming is a biological thing that we all do. We have neurons in our brain that are meant for dreaming. So it's not like it's something that it has an evolutionary purpose. But dreams are awesome. like if you, like I for a while I kept a dream journal where I wrote down everything that was in my dreams, you know. But then I started having weird dreams where like I had this one dream where like the wrestler Triple H was telling me about my aunt, and I'm like, okay, I need help. I need some professional. I need to stop falling asleep to wrestling.
Right? I need to go to the gym and start wrestling.
Dreams are awesome, though.
They are. Oh man, Loki.
You're reminding me though, Isaiah. Just as he recently asked me to buy him weights, and I'm like, yeah, I got ripped. Like when I came back from Oregon, I'm a skinny guy, and like I bought a weight set, and it really helped my health.
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
Not even from the oh I'm buff and tough standpoint, but like it helped my cardiovascular health.
Yep, that's here. Oh, if I screw around with the camera, but let's see here. Oh, my wall is covered with hula hoops, and then my living room weight set because
Absolutely,
I like to not go places, and I like my stuff accessible.
For as outgoing as I am, I always found gyms to be socially awkward. I maybe it's just me. I don't know. I just always found them to be socially awkward.
I don't mind going. It's more of just trying to fit it into my day, and like I get peopled out, and I need a lot of quiet alone time that I just can't like drag myself to go anywhere else.
I built this room on that principle of I can come in here and be alone.
Yeah.
That this room was built on that very reason of like I put everything I like to do, I put it in the same room. So
Yeah.
I'm here to ignore the human race.
Yep.
Especially because I started homeschooling my son, like, you know, back in the day I used to drop him off.
Right.
And it's like now we're in each other's face. Like, and this weekend he didn't go to his mom's house, so we've been in each other's face every day this week, you know.
Yeah. Oh man. Wow, this is my longest stream ever. I don't know if I should like let you go because it's like Sunday if you got like schoolwork stuff in your stream tomorrow. So
no, like I have to really I just have to finish my video, and I'm really disappointed in my selection of a sewing machine. Usually same Kilroy. It's gyms are ripoff anyways. I purchased a sewing machine that I usually wouldn't purchase, and it didn't work.
Oh, that Singer, the white one.
Yeah, and like I stay away from the 90s era because they were mass produced in factories.
Yeah.
And like I always talk about clone sewing machines and stuff, but these were made in the same factory the clones were. So I'm still like, if I could ever give anyone advice, like listen to that voice inside of yourself when it says you don't need that.
Right.
You know, like, and it's not even about the money. I have the money. It's just I feel like I don't know. It just feeds into my addictive nature, you know. But I will get that
Channel
sewing
winners.
Exactly. So in my video, it's going to be my reading taps over the sewing machine.
The day is done.
I might use it as parts, but like, no, Isaiah's in that weird independence phase. And because I was such a hover dad, like, it's not like the man cooks dinner now, like, better than I do. Like, there's this, what was it? A show I was watching where this guy was basically like, it's okay to mourn for the child that your child used to be, but you need to let your child to grow up. You have to let your child grow up. Like, it's okay. Like, it's sad when they grow up because he was my shadow. That was my homie. Like, we would sit on the couch and watch Yo Gabba Gabba, and like, you know, like I miss those days, but he grew up. But I'm still the same person. So, you know, like, it's okay. I have to let him grow up. Like, I have to, you know.
Yeah.
It's not easy. I'm a hover parent because I care.
Yep. And there's nothing wrong with that. You acknowledge it, you know where you're at, and you can work the steps.
I think it's better to be attentive than like it's because I grew up in the era of feral children. like people would come to school and like, bro, your teeth's not brushed, your hair's not brushed, you wore that shirt yesterday, like
Yeah.
my mom would never let me walk out of the house looking crazy,
No.
But yeah, I just gotta finish. I love streams like this because it distracts me from the stuff I have to do.
All right, well then I'll pull the ripcord on this one. It's been so much fun. Thank you for hanging out, everybody. Go check out Godless's station. I'm on the Rumbles and the Twitters. Do you want to shill anything?
I'll have a video out hopefully tomorrow, and I'll be streaming tomorrow, and everyone here is always invited as always. We'll be doing the same thing.
Perfect.
The same exact thing.
Sounds great. Don't wait until tomorrow when you can be fabulous today, and don't laugh at others unless you've laughed at yourself. All right, bye.